Lexi knows how to quiet a room. I love it. Very good. We'll get started. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for coming to our County Council Candidate Forum. I'm Renee Hamilton, the Executive Director of YWCA, and I first want to give a big mahalo to our partners. We've got Kamāwaelualani, Keiki Kauaʻi, KKCR, the Mokihana Club, Zonta Club of Hanalei, and the Zonta Club of Hawaii. So thank you for all of us coming together. We came together as nonprofits and agencies that have complementary missions and complementary work that's focused on women in Keiki. That's what we do. So we really wanted to lift those issues up that are critical for women and Keiki. So if you want to know more about any of the organizations, please check it out in the back. There's information back there. We welcome you to do that. From the very beginning, as we started planning, our work together has been nonpartisan. And please be assured, no candidate, even though many of us know each other, may work together or be friends or whatever, nobody's had any advantage. All the candidates have had equal time and equal opportunity, as you will see tonight. Our goal has been to provide an opportunity for all the candidates to address the issues that are critical for women and children. Now, let me introduce our moderator for tonight. I'm going to call her anytime I need a room quieted, I tell ya. Lexi Jones. She graduated from the University of Washington with her bachelor's degree in media and communications. There must have been a quiet the crowd down class, Lexi. You can find Lexi Jones at the Kaua'i Athletic Club, training our community members to be their best. She works as a consultant for the Rice Street Business Association, and you can find her building Hoʻike Trades Academy and Institute to keep Hawaiians in Hawaii. So Lexi will be taking it over for the evening. Please note too, we have water in the igloo over there with some cups. Please help yourself. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to hearing everything tonight.
Well, thank you for that introduction. What a joy. I'm so honored to be here and stand in front of you alongside our beautiful collection of our county council candidates. We're going to have some fun today. Now, as we kick off, of course, I do have to share this remark. Can we please make sure our cell phones are silenced, on vibrate, airplane mode, whatever your vibe is for this evening. Just make sure it doesn't ring. Yeah, we can all agree to that, right? Not too bad. All right, so I'm gonna read a few rules as we get started, and then we'll dive right into all of the fun, because I know you are patiently waiting for the fun to begin. So, before we do that, I do wanna ask you as the audience to refrain from applauding or in other ways demonstrating support or non-support for a candidate. We wanna give them a chance to speak for the allotted time and have, the grace to not interrupt that. I also want to ask our candidates to follow a set of rules so that we are giving every candidate the opportunity to answer and to have the grace as they see fit. Now, our candidates should refrain from personal attacks or charges. Answers should remain focused and relevant to the policy topics. Candidates, please do not interrupt one another. Please allow the 2 minutes for the opening statements and the closing statements as we begin this evening, and as well as we move through our long answer questions. All right? So here we go. Let's have some fun. Okay. In order to allow for some in-depth understanding of both the candidates and the issues, tonight will be a series of long answer questions and 2 rapid-fire short answer rounds. Each candidate will be asked the same amount of questions and have the same amount of time to answer the questions. The questions have been assigned to candidates randomly. In order for all candidates to have equal opportunity, our timekeeper will be tracking for a 30-second warning and for the end of the allotted time. We thank the candidates in advance for adhering to the allotted time. We will have to cut you off at the 2-minute mark, FYI. We ask the audience again to refrain from applauding or in other ways demonstrating support or non-support of the candidate. There will be time at the end of the forum to visit with the candidates and ask any further questions you might have. This forum is being broadcast live on KKCR and is being filmed. The videos will be shown at Hoʻike Community Television and will be accessible online at a later date. For additional information, you can visit YWCA.org. Candidates have been given the opportunity to submit written responses, which are available on the YWCA Vote website. That's YWCAvote.org. All right, are you ready to get started? Dun, da, da, da. It's officially the time. Here we go, here we go. We are going to allow each candidate a 2-minute window for their opening comments, remarks, any statements that they see fit. So we will start in order, which would be my stage right. So as you're looking at me, your left. And to kick us off, we are going to start with Lila Metzger. Lila. No, thank you. I appreciate you. Lila.
I'm Lila Metzger. I was born in Waimea, raised in Kauaʻi, grew up my entire life here, was fortunate enough to travel at a young age all over the world. I was picked up as a Roxy model back in the 90s, and I got to see a lot of the world, and I lived away from home from 17 till about 22, and I felt like I came from the best place on earth, and I wanted to come back. And when I did come back, full-time, I was married by that time, and I met some b-boys at Lidgate Park. I thought I was going to come home and start a Pilates business, but I started breakdancing, and I just became passionate about that, and that led me to start what ended up being, and is, Kaua'i Underground Artists, which is KUGA, and that is it was a dance nonprofit grassroots effort. We did become a 501c3. We had a good run for, I mean, I've already lost count. It was in 2003 when it all kind of started, and I stepped away from it in the last 2 years and handed it over, but that's what I've been doing here. I've been working in the nonprofit sector, just pursuing my passion, serving the community and the youth, and we started the Love Life Community Festival, which was an anti-suicide and suicide awareness event to just create a love for life on the island, because that is such a huge problem that we have. It's heartbreaking. So my passion is to focus on the future. That is why I'm running for county council, is to ensure that our Keiki have opportunities to be walking in their full potential and to have a love for life, and not to feel like they're left in the dust when everything else is full-blown development all around us on this island. So that's why I'm here, is for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next to give our opening statements, Dr. Addison Bulosan.
And thank you everyone who made it in person. Super excited to have this forum. I always felt like these forums allowed us to spend time with you instead of on the video on YouTube or Facebook, and so I'm really glad that we're able to meet. I'm Addison, born and raised right down the street in Molokoa. I literally can walk from home right now to this place. Graduated from Wilcox Elementary and Kaua'i High School, and just like Lila, moved away from home for about 10 years, lived in Seattle and in San Francisco, and then moved back home because I wanted to be closer to family. And I started my practice as a doctor of chiropractic, where my office is down the street right there. And so for the last almost 10 years now, I can't believe, I still tell people I just came home, which is not true. That was almost 10 years ago. But it feels like that because Kaua'i is home, and it feels like the best place on earth, like we all feel that it is. But there's things that we hope to be different, and things that we hope to be better for our community, and especially our Keiki, like Lila said. And so my hope with the work that I've done through my office, helping people as a healthcare practitioner, and then volunteering with various nonprofits, with community work that we do all along Wright Street and all the other nonprofits I'm part of. I just hope that those lessons that I've learned can be part of the county council discussion and be part of the team that helps shape the future for us all in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Bernard Carvalho.
Good evening and aloha. Very happy to be with all of you this evening, and just so thankful for the opportunity to serve my first 2-year term as a Kaua'i County Council member along with my fellow council members. And we've gone through a lot of decision making and the process and all of that, and I'm really happy of how far we've come as a council, and I look forward to serving another term. I have been involved in our community in wearing many different hats. And growing up in Kapaa High School, of course, and I went out to the University of Hawaii. and I had the opportunity to go abroad and come back home. My wife is Regina Carvalho. She's from Oceanside, California. But we're home, we have our children, we're Papa and Nana now. And so all of that ties into why I want to continue serving as a county council member. A lot of great things happening on our island, a lot of challenges on our island, but as a council member, working closely on various issues and bringing it to the table and hearing the voice of the people and making decisions based upon what is brought to the table. Like I said, born and raised in Kaua'i, and I served as department head for the county of Kaua'i for 17 years. In recreation, parks and recreation, and then division head or department head for 6 years, and had the opportunity to serve as mayor for 10 years. So that all places myself at that place where I can share my experience, share my understanding. It's not just about what is before you, it's about the relationships and the connections and about how we move forward. And I look forward to bringing my experience to the table and taking it to the next level. Like I said, it's just been my first 2-year term. I know what it's really like across the street, and now on this side of the street, we're trying to really work together and really make things happen for the people that we serve, from Keiki to Kupuna. And I look forward to continuing to provide that experience on the table and give back in that way to the people of Kaua'i and Iha. Mahalo.
Thank you, Bernard. And next we have Luke Evslin.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for coming tonight. This is our first real candidate forum open to the public this year, so it's great to see you all. My name is Luke. I was born in Wailua, grew up in the homesteads. I graduated from Kaua'i High in 2003. Graduated from the University of Hawaii in 2007. In my final year at UH, I started a canoe building company with my 2 closest friends from Kaua'i High. We've now been sort of struggling to be a business now for 15 years. As I was on Oahu for 3 years, building canoes, paddling canoe a lot, thought that I was going to probably be on Oahu forever. I was in a severe boating accident in the Molokai Hawaii canoe race. It brought me home to Kaua'i to recover, I thought temporarily. As I was home for 3 days, I emailed my business partners and said, hey guys, sorry, I'm not coming back to Oahu. And since then, I've been managing when I can remotely from the business, but for me, it changed my life in a whole lot of ways. One, it brought me home to Kaua'i, but 2, it gave me sort of a second chance at life. And for me, I really wanted to try and focus my life on giving back to my community. And so since then, 2010, I've been doing a lot of coaching canoe paddling, community work, nonprofit work. And throughout that whole time, I was really struggling to afford housing, and I saw my whole generation just getting decimated by the housing crisis, and realized that if I was, really going to make as much of an impact as I wanted to, that I had to focus on reducing the cost of housing. So I got a master's degree in public administration with a certificate of public policy. I served on the Citizens Advisory Committee for the General Plan, which is really our housing Bible for the county. Really focused on learning about the housing crisis, and through all that, realized that the county council is really the land use body for Kaua'i, and if I wanted to make an impact, that I would be running for council. So I ran in 2018, was lucky enough to get on in 2018. I've been focused for the last 4 years really on doing everything I could to reduce cost of housing. I've passed a whole lot of policy. Time's up. We'll talk about the policy later, but thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ross Kagawa.
Thank you for having us tonight, first live forum. So, yeah, I'm a 1984 graduate of YWCA High School. My mom was here, Janice. She had a restaurant called Sue's Snack Shop in the LLA Shopping Center for like 12 years. Those are some of my best memories. I would go there and eat for free. She had really, good food, and she struggled though as a business owner, as most business owners know. Rent and taxes and everything. It's not easy. You want to have your food at an affordable price and not raise prices too much. People are struggling. You want them to smile when they come to your restaurant. So that's what kind of business owner she was. She was a great lady. And appreciate her. My dad was deputy county engineer for the county of Kaua'i. Many people tell me that work under him, that public works was the best ever when he was there. They had a sense of teamwork and camaraderie that I think, I hope that we can regain that. So, and I think the county will be in a better place. When you work hard, you should be, praised, and if you, not doing your job so well, then how can I help you? Everybody can be uplifted. I think it's the management style that we need to, bring back, and hopefully the council can support the administration, whether it's Derek or Rovin, to put Kaua'i into a better place. So I got 30 seconds left. I've served for 8 years previously, and I got termed out. I want to thank all of you for your support and blessings, and here to serve another two. I'll try my best to fight the way I've fought before. When I see things that need to be fixed, I won't hide from it. I'll bring it up. We'll address it, hopefully with the public to see and know what's going on with their tax dollars. So again, bring my heart and soul to the office, and I ask for one of your 7 votes. Mahalo.
Thank you, Ross. And KipuKai Kualiʻi.
Aloha, I'm KipuKai Kualiʻi, running for re-election to the council. I was born and raised on Kaua'i, from KipuKai Ranch to Waimea Dairy to Hanalei low-income housing to Old Puhi Plantation Camp. I was an honors student at Immaculate Conception School right here in Lihue, at Kamehameha in Honolulu, and at the University of Pacific in California, where I got my business degree. I have over 30 years experience working and volunteering in government, labor unions, nonprofits, and community organizations. 10 of those years were spent in California and Washington, D.C., before returning home in 2001 to be closer to my aging parents. As a Kaua'i County Council member for 3 of the last 4 terms, I've proven myself to be hardworking, thoughtful, and trustworthy. I've also demonstrated my dedication to public service, my legislative policy experience, my strength with budgeting, my understanding of the issues, and my commitment to always doing my homework, listening carefully, and working collaboratively. These are the priorities I will continue to focus on if given the chance. Budgeting responsibly and limiting taxes, delivering core services efficiently, public safety, police, fire and rescue, public works, roads, parks, sewer, trash, and water, strengthening and diversifying our economy, building affordable homes and rentals, protecting our aina, and collaborating for community solutions to long-standing challenges like climate change, drug abuse, food insecurity, homelessness, teen suicide, traffic congestion, and more. My commitment to you is always to doing my very best for our people and for our islands, dedicating my years of experience to protecting and improving our quality of life. I humbly ask for one of your 7 votes for my re-election. Mahalo.
Thank you, KipuKai. And thank you to all of our candidates this evening. Now we will have some time for our long answer questions. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to the questions they are asked. Question 1. 42% of families on Kaua'i struggle to make ends meet. This includes families living under the financial, I'm gonna restart that question, here we go. 42% of families on Kaua'i struggle to make ends meet. This includes families living under the federal poverty line, as well as ALICE families, assist limited income, constrained, employed. This places enormous stress on the family and Keiki. To our first candidate, which will be Lila Metzger. How can the county ease the financial burden too many of our families are facing?
Well, I feel that a lot of families are facing enormous struggles right now due to COVID, obviously. The workforce, I feel, is maybe feeling defeated or not confident in work skills to go back to work. Some people might not even feel like they remember how to work. I feel a lot of people need support that the county could provide by creating workshops or setting up extra education for just basic work skills that we need on this island. There's so many places that don't have employment right now that have to close. Restaurants have to close because they don't have staffing. And the staff is there. I feel a lot of people just aren't motivated, or there's just something in the air that has just made it where I just don't know how to go back to work. And so I feel the county could step in and offer legit, practical workforce skills that, especially the places, restaurants, hotel industry, all the things that we already knew how to do, and then bring in computer skills, get people up to date with social media marketing and all of those things. There's a wide variety of things that people could do if they didn't want to leave home yet. There's lots to do, but I feel Kaua'i hasn't been really up to date with the kind of employment that is available if you didn't want to leave home. And for those that do, I feel that we could, as a county, offer that. And secondly, I feel basic budgeting classes that could be offered throughout the island to understand economics and then to be able to live within their means, because local culture, like somehow we get Toyota trucks and fill up our gas tank and the economy's going downhill, but we got gas in our big trucks. So just understanding basic budgeting could alleviate some. I'm not saying it's going to solve, but it could give us a step forward. And I feel that's where the county could use their facilities and their infrastructure to educate our community to get back to work again.
Thank you, Lila. The question then turns over to Luke Evslin.
Yeah, the biggest impacts to families are the cost of housing and the cost of transportation. Right? And the cost of housing has just skyrocketed. Since the year I was born to now, it's gone up 400%, right? This isn't a normal housing market. And when housing costs are high, and economic burdens, that we're facing, it's forcing families to have multiple jobs, forcing families to move off island, forcing families into our beach parks. It's a primary driver of a lack of workers, right? And that you can't afford to live here and be a teacher, you can't afford to live here and be a nurse, and on, right? Reducing the cost of housing, I think, has to be our primary focus on the council. It's something that we do have authority over. So for me, I'm constantly pushing this sort of all of the above approach to reducing the cost of housing. Number one is we need to build more homes, right? Every study on affordability starts off with a prerequisite of housing supply, right? If we're not having the housing supply, housing costs are going to continue to go up. So we need to build more homes, but we need to do it within and around our existing town cores, right? This is a core component of our general plan, is to be building housing near jobs, not to be consuming our agricultural areas with housing. The goal should be to ensure that anybody who wants to can afford to live close to where they work, which can also save people money on transportation costs. Number two is to give people more options to add on additional units at their home, right? We have lots of available yard space for ARUs, ADUs. I got 30 seconds, gotta go quick. Adding on to your existing home, reducing permitting fees, permitting time, helping with infrastructure. These are all county things. Increasing the density in La Hui, especially multifamily homes, are important to encourage people or allow people to live close to where they work. 1 in 5 homes on Kaua'i is either vacant or TBR. We need to reduce that number through, in my mind, higher property taxes on TBRs and vacant homes. And then lastly, more support for affordable housing. The money we're raising through those higher taxes should go towards affordable housing. Time's up.
Thank you, Luke. And the question then turns to Ross Kagawa.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm surprised that 42% is a number that's struggling on Kaua'i, because I feel like the number is more like 70 to 80. We live in the most expensive, place in the United States. We're separated by ocean from the mainland United States. Everything that we need to build houses and what have you, has to come across the ocean, and that leads to the highest prices for lumber, for anything that you need to build a house. So that doesn't help. And like Luke said, I think it's basic economics. We have a supply and demand problem right now. We don't have enough supply. That's why you have bidding wars. Like my next door neighbor, a house that was bought 2 years ago for $495,000 has just sold for $895,000. This is not real value. It's paper value. You don't have enough supply, and when you have bidding wars with a few that need a house, and it's just throwing all the prices out of whack. So we have a major supply problem. It's basic economics. You don't need to be confused any other way. That is what is happening. That is why you see old houses in Kekaha, 6,000 square foot, old house selling for $500,000. And those, unfortunately, are mainland buyers. So it's like, what are we gonna do? We need to push housing from all venues, not only town cores. We need supply all over. You let the local people who are looking for houses, they buy where they need. But if we don't have the supply, the price will never come down. So that's basically everybody wants to live here. Yeah, I know from all the tourists say, oh, I like to move here. But we gotta get the supply, otherwise, with the little supply that we have, it's going to be all bought out from, outside with the most money.
Thank you so much. And lastly, the question to KipuKai Kualiʻi.
Number one, advocating for raising the minimum wage. Number two, as I said before, helping lower the cost of housing, and primarily by increasing our inventory. Number three, helping lower the cost of transportation, expanding, improving, and promoting our County Kauaʻi bus. Expanding on a discounted bus pass program that I helped initiate for residents by partnering with community nonprofits like Catholic Charities and Easter Seals. Also, programs supporting student bus passes at KCC. And then supporting electric vehicle use by supporting charging stations. Councilmember Evslin and I are working on the bill. Helping lower the cost of food. Supporting and promoting agricultural parks like Aina Ho'okupu o Kilauea, where folks can learn to grow more of their own food and actually have a plot on site if they don't have a place at home. Supporting and promoting food security programs, such as at both our food banks, Malama Kauaʻi, and other community nonprofits. Ensuring our county farmers markets are equipped for EBT payments. Advocating for state income earned tax credit. Promoting real property tax relief programs and exemptions. For fiscal year 2022-23, the home preservation limit differential will provide approximately $59,000 in real property relief. And the very low income tax relief will provide $248,000. We can do better. Additionally, homeowners receive tax reduction through their various exemptions. But we need to create more education. Not a lot of people are taking advantage of it. So, compost stations, you can, time's up.
Thank you so much. Moving into question number 2. Quality child care is essential for both child development and economic health. Child care is unaffordable for typical families in Hawaii. Infant care for one child would take up 16% of a median family's income in Hawaii. Child care for 2 children, an infant and a 4-year-old, costs $22,667. A typical family in Hawaii would have to spend 26.4% of its income on child care for an infant and a 4-year-old. There's also a dearth of available spaces and no accessibility, there's also a dearth of available spaces and no accessible and licensed infant and toddler care on Kauaʻi. Does the county have a responsibility to do its part to address the child care crisis its residents are facing? And if so, how can the county help families afford child care? How can it help our providers increase their capacity? The question turns to Dr. Addison Bulosan.
Yes, the county can help. This question is near and dear to my heart as I am recently engaged and our conversations around having a child get stymied by this cold reality that we probably can't afford a child. That's a legitimate thing here. It's sad, right, to say that out loud to you. And the county plays a big role. It has the opportunity to empower our community through several different things. And I want to commend the departments, especially OED, Office of Economic Development, and their partnership with our local nonprofits in empowering our nonprofits to create sustainable programs that enable our local families to afford care. The numbers that she shared is not the reality. It's way more. I talked to my classmate, my best friend since 5 years old. He's telling me childcare for one, $1,600 a month. That's rent to a house. And so when we talk about looking at solutions and trying to figure out how we can leverage certain points, I think what's happening right now is we need to look at different leverage points instead of just only relying on the county. One of the biggest opportunities I think we need to tap in, and I'm sure our fellow council members and our administration are looking at, and I hope I can be part of that solution, is that looking to leverage our county ability with federal and state grants, and partnering with our NPOs and partnering with local businesses. The biggest one right now, if you look at what's happening, Quite Gymnastic just closed. I don't know if you guys heard of that. It's a 6,000 square foot, serve over 300 youth. They just shut down. And they just can't find a place because businesses aren't choosing this type of business. And so where we can partner in that place is to help with local landowners to look at these programs to understand the value of them.
Thank you. And the question turns to Bernard Carvalho.
Yes, thank you so much for the question. Very important area of discussion, and hits at home for me on a personal note, because I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the need to, how we were brought up, and my grandmother actually raised me, and there's a lot of families that have to take care of their own at home, and so, which leads into my wife and us taking care of our children. And we made the decision internally that I go work 3 jobs, and she's go and watch the kids as they get older. And then we switched as we began to move forward. I'm sharing this because I'm sure a lot of other families have to go through that kind of thinking and how we can support that effort. And then now, when our children got older, and then we moved on until now. And now, I serve as a papa, a grandparent, so we move into that next phase. And I just shared it because a lot of families are going through that. So childcare is a big, big part. And I think for us as council members, and what can we do, or the county, like was just mentioned, there is space available. And I know we're talking about, right now, the big safe space right here, down right at the office, county building, where that could be open to groups and organizations to come out, was to support, provide child care services on site, looking at vacant facilities and buildings and connecting that way, and supporting funding that way. I think that is an opportunity that we should look at and continue to support. I know that other parts of the island, our island has opportunities as well. And so I look forward to reaching out and connecting and talking story and seeing what the county can do, really, whether it be support funding maybe, but more importantly, looking at vacant facilities, because other parks and recreation facilities for pretty much, athletic programs and all of that, and a diverse group of people. But this is specific to childcare, so I'm hoping to work with that.
Thank you so much. Moving into question number 3. 43% of children in foster care in Hawaii are kanaka maoli. Many of our foster youth have to be sent to other islands or the continent for foster placement, causing additional trauma from being displaced from their homeland and culture. What are you going to do to support our foster care system to keep our Kaua'i Keiki at home? The question turns first to Luke Evslin.
Yeah, this is a hard question because the foster care system is run by the state, but I do think that there are some levers that the county can help pull to keep families together. One, it's my understanding that there's only a single visitation facility for parents to visit their children that are in foster care, and as I understand, it's in Kauaʻi, so West Side families have a real difficult time visiting their children. And being able to visit your children is incredibly important to ensure that that family in the future can get back together, and I think to motivate the parents to do whatever is necessary to get their children back in the future. So I think the county could be a partner in setting up a south or west side facility for these visitations to occur. I think another large impact here, actually to back up a little bit, currently in our zoning code actually prohibits more than 5 unrelated individuals from being in a household together. Technically this would include foster children. So it really discriminates against non-traditional families. Last week, our county council, I introduced an amendment to amend that out of our zoning code to take away the measure relating to blood relationships. Our council unanimously passed it. So there's, a simple measure that we can do. But I think a lot of this still comes back down to housing costs, right? When housing costs are too high, you have families working 3 jobs. You have families that aren't able to get, after school care for their children. This puts a lot of stress on families. This leads to substance abuse. This leads to mental health issues. It just alleviates every single stressor out there. So I think from a county perspective, again, it comes back to the cost of housing. What can we do to reduce the cost of housing to try and keep families together?
Thank you, Luke. And Ross Kagawa.
Yeah, I mean, Luke is correct. Foster care is it's a state issue. They oversee the foster care program. I tend to want to focus, my efforts when I'm on a council on county problems. Because if you focus too much on other problems, then you don't fix your own, right? So, that's where my focus comes from when I'm on council. I let others who have passion in different areas, and we work together as a team. You don't have to have 5 or 6 of us working on the same team. And that is what I bring to the table, is that I tend to not micromanage, because I want to keep my focus on the important issues before our county that we have jurisdiction over. And so that's why I said work with our state representatives. If there are problems, if there are problems on Kaua'i, we can even put them on the agenda. That's what we did with the kapa traffic. We put them on, we brought it's different from the State Department of Transportation to the council floor, and we said, what are you going to do about this kapa traffic in the long term? Are we going to keep spending millions of dollars a year on contraflow and the workers that goes with it? Or are we going to do something more permanent? And here you have it. I think it's our pushing together, working with the mayor and convincing our legislative team that something needs to be done, and you're going to have basically a permanent contraflow in Kapa, with that kind of effort. So again, I just not to be, I'm a special ed teacher. In my time that I've rested, I'm a recent grandfather of 2 beautiful granddaughters. They all live here. We got them to move to Kaua'i, and I do care about children and their safety. So if it's brought to my attention there's a problem, I'll put them on the council agenda, and we'll get to the bottom of the nonsense going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. And the question turns to KipuKai Kualiʻi.
This issue absolutely breaks my heart, learning that children in foster care often struggle with blaming themselves and feeling guilty about removal from their birth parents, wishing to return to them even if they were abused by them, and about children feeling unwanted when awaiting adoption for a long time. I reached out to my former schoolmate Monica Kauaʻi, who I knew had worked for Tutu and Me and Hui Ho'omalu, which was connected with a statewide foster care program. Together, we decided we should set up a meeting with folks from Catholic Charities, where she is now, Project Pilina with Partners in Development Foundation, and the State Department of Human Services to talk about ways our county could support their work. I'm asking Councilmember Carvalho to partner with me, since we've already partnered with Alice Luck from Kaua'i Planning and Action Alliance on her program supporting children and youth. After hearing more from our community nonprofit providers, we will move forward with some concrete recommendations on how we can best support them. In an old newspaper article, I saw former Mayor Carvalho did a proclamation for National Foster Care Month, which is in May. Our council should also do a certificate each May, and maybe a resolution also, to further educate and build support. Also, to express our gratitude to all the resource families. We all can help as individuals, mentor a team, provide respite care, assemble welcome boxes, attend or sponsor a foster care event, donate supplies, raise funds, or make a donation, educate and advocate. Mahalo.
Thank you. And the question turns to Lila Metzger.
May I request the AC be turned down? I'm so cold right now. I want to hold your dog. So I understand now that it is a state issue, and I respect that, but this is just an idea in hearing the question of what I was able to observe when I spent a month in Africa with my family, and we worked with a group that actually adopted. So I understand there's foster children who will be reunited with their family. That's something. Another thing is, after I think a year and a half, I was a foster parent for a little bit there, and I think after a year and a half, if they can't reunite, then they look for full-time adoption, where the kid is yours legally, so that the kid isn't left in limbo, you know? So they try to place them with either the family or with whoever's fostering them the longest. But what I did observe was, it was a house with a house parent, and it was a young couple, young local African couple, and they might have their own kid, but they would have a house group of boys in the same age range, and they would be adopted into this family. So if we started with the kids that are the oldest, and we adopt them I adopt this age range into my home, then I am committing to them for 4 years, till they graduate and become adults, to come and live in my home and graduate out, and then they go on to secondary college or wherever they would go, or get a job and move on. But that's something I think we could explore, is using county land, state land, having homes that are built that solve a problem for a young family or young adults that are wanting to partner, and to just be good mentors and start with some high school age group kids that are being taken off the island due to lack of foster care, and then see them off, and then work our way down as we find success or challenges. It's gonna be a trial, but I feel the high school age is the most scary, but we could start with them and work our way down to the little ones.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you for shutting it off. It's freezing.
Got the AC turned down. We're feeling good because it's time for the rapid fire moment, so we're gonna make it nice and toasty in here now. All right, so we will have 2 rapid fire questions that all candidates will respond to. Now the first question, please limit your answers to 1 to 3 words. I know, already that restriction, something. Okay, 1 to 3 words, okay? We are gonna start with Ross and work our way around the table. Ross, KipuKai, Lila, Addison, then back, and Luke will finish, just so you're aware. Rapid question number 1. The recent Dobbs decision, which overturned 50 years of legal precedent, has raised concerns about the possible erosion of abortion rights in Hawaii. Abortion is currently legal and available in Hawaii. Recent polls show that 66% of Hawaii residents support legal abortion. Starting us off with Ross. If elected, would you vote for a resolution in support of improving abortion access on Kaua'i? 1 to 3 words.
Yes. Yes.
No. No.
Constitutional right restored.
Okay. Am I on? Women's choice.
Yes.
Pray on it.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Rapid fire. See that? All right. Question number 2. Now this one is going to be answered in 2 to 3 sentences. We will start with Luke, work our way down the table, then wrap around to Bernard to finish. Okay? Just so everyone can understand. Kaua'i and other rural areas have elevated rates of youth suicide. 11% of our high school students report having attempted suicide. The risk is significantly higher for LGBTQAI+ teens on Kaua'i, with 41% reporting suicidal thoughts. In 2 to 3 sentences, what is one thing you will do while in office to support our LGBTQAI+ youth? Yes, sir.
I personally will do anything I can to support our LGBTQI youth. I teach, I coach, I try to mentor as much as I can children, and I'm there to help support how I can.
Ross?
Similar. I don't judge people, and I just be a good friend to all that.
Thank you. KipuKai?
As a gay man myself, I like to think of myself as a role model of the diversity that is possible. And of course, I support pride and resolutions from the council and everything I can.
Thank you.
I would like to not have to segregate anymore. Like, I want to love all youth. I want all youth to be their full potential, and I don't want to have to compartmentalize. I mean, what am I going to do for the Holly kids and the local kids and these like...
Perfect.
Thank
2
you.
to 3 sentences. Thank you so much. Addison Bulosan.
I'll do whatever I can with whatever I have, as much as I can.
Bernard Carvalho.
We just need to support all people to give them the resources that they need for a good life.
Great. Thank you, all the candidates, for that rapid fire. Boom, boom, boom. Now we will return to longer answer questions as we did before. Candidates will have 2 minutes to respond. Question 4. Domestic violence is the leading cause of homelessness. In fact, a recent HUD report indicates that 57% of all women experiencing homelessness report domestic violence as the immediate cause. What initiatives would you propose to help victims of domestic violence who are experiencing homelessness in our community? Turned over to Bernard Carvalho.
I think number one is to provide support county-wise. Like, try to make sure that we have the resources available. And the resources we do have available to people experiencing this terrible situation is our Committee on the Status of Women. And they're part of the County of Kauaʻi. They have all the resources. We need to make sure that we connect the dots to ensure that whatever resources we have internally can really reach out, whether it be funding, program support, internal, reaching out to the federal, state, county levels, all of it. It's important that we look what we have, and again, the Committee on the Status of Women, which is a county committee, and really work closely with them. They have all the resources. That just hit me right now. Of course, my wife is on that as well, on the committee and some of the women here. But the committee has done so much good work in reaching out into our community and providing support in all the different levels. And I can go on all the different other nonprofit organizations that support this particular situation. And I'm totally supportive of, again, connecting all the different resources as a council member and then bringing that to the table. Because without that, I mean, there's really nothing that can happen, really. And so I look forward to working closely and making sure that whatever I can do to, from Keikaha all the way to Hanalei, and assure that the resources are available and we connect the dots to all the people. And that's where I'm at.
Thank you. And the question turns to Ross Kagawa.
Yeah, again, this is another one where this is a state, we have a state homeless office and coordinator. And, I remember way back when I was a legislative staff for the council, and Senator Daniel Inouye, gave, some words of advice to the council members and to the state representatives. And he said, the worst thing you guys can do is if, you duplicate government services, because, it leads to disagreement and wasting of money rather than having one agency, tackle the problem with support from the other two, government entities. So I think, again, good to have leadership from the state, and statewide we tackle this problem that is hitting all of our islands badly. Honolulu probably the worst, but Kaua'i we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there if we don't address what is a major problem, not having services, getting them back to work, to function. I think those are part of the problem. And we have homeless houses that they say the homeless don't want to go in, but they don't want to live by whatever rules, non-alcohol, no drugs, whatever. And so at that point, I mean, where do we go from there, right? You say popular housing, they don't like people by the rules, then we'll bend the rules, or we'll try one different angle to try and house them, to lead to small maybe steps of success. So, I think again this is a state problem. I love for you guys to ask these questions to the state candidates, including the governor, and like to hear what their answer is, so that maybe I can add my comments on that. But you guys asking the Kauai County Council candidates these questions that really is out of our jurisdiction. But it is a problem of ours in Kauai County, of course. But they have, the state and the federal government have a lot more tax resources than we do. Our property tax is among the lowest in the nation on Kauai, in Hawaii.
Thank you.
Yeah, to all the Texans that are more.
Thank you so much. Question number 5. Although progress has been made in career fields that have traditionally been male-dominated, inequities still remain. In Kaua'i County, there are currently no women active firefighters, and out of 100 patrol officers, only 10 are women. There are no female detectives or women in leadership positions above the rank of sergeant. What steps can the council take to increase the number of women serving and ensure fair opportunities for career advancement? This question turns to KipuKai Kualiʻi.
Well, our County Human Resources has not done any specific targeted outreach in years. They are certainly open to programs, trainings, and other forms of outreach to generate more female applicants. For fire, there have been some female applicants, but unfortunately, there is difficulty in passing the agility tests. HR does ensure that these tests are relevant to the types of physical movements required of firefighter positions. Fire does not currently have a process in place to actively recruit women, or anyone actually. The last firefighter trainee recruitment was spring of 2021. There were 287 applicants. After the written exam, 43 were eligible to participate in the physical agility, and of the candidates passing the physical agility and having an oral interview, all 14 were male. In order to address the lack of female firefighters across the country, female firefighter associations on the continent provide trainings to help with the challenges of passing agility tests and also other issues that arise once females are hired into a male-dominated profession. Police has open and continuous recruitment for police officers for all genders. They have had sworn female officers holding positions from captain, lieutenant, sergeant, and officer for the last 20 years. Currently, sworn female officers hold the ranks of acting lieutenant, sergeant, and officer. Non-sworn female employees in supervisory positions include records evidence, section supervisor, fiscal officer 2, and criminalist 3. HR has also said that they're open to talking with police about putting on a job fair targeting women, where the women can speak to female police officers about their experiences in law enforcement. They've seen Honolulu do it, and it's been successful for them, so they're open to do it as well.
Thank you so much. The question turns to Dr. Addison Bulosan.
One of the best things about being, if elected, being a part of this council is that you have a group of 7 people or 6 other people you'd be working with, and you're not tasked with having to know all the ideas. And so what I'm really trying to say is diddle KipuKai. Obviously, right? It's really important to understand that when we're looking at this challenge, there was just a report that Chopo did with almost 82% respond. And one of the biggest glaring challenges is that for the next few years, their challenge is employment. They're going to not have enough officers. And so we have to realize that one of the biggest challenges for our community is that we're not engaging the power of our community. When we have statistics sharing that there's not representation in one of the most important departments in our county, it is alarming, and it's super important for us to really look at that clearly. And so I'm really glad for the question, and I'm glad that if elected, I get to work with KipuKai and the department to resolve these issues.
Thank you. And the question turns to Bernard Carvalho.
Yes, I really think this is an important question. As we continue to support all women, I have had the experience of offering women opportunities in the workplace and continue to look at providing opportunities with my current hat on, if that's possible. Women bring to the table, especially in the police department or fire department or even in water safety. That's another one. And opening the door, offering opportunities there to ensure that there's a balance between men and women. And assuring that, because women bring to the table a different way of handling situations, and men come to the table in a different way, but then they also collaborate and work together. So I think it's very important that we continue to advocate, reach out, provide training opportunities, education opportunities, connect with bridging and connecting resources to assure that every opportunity is available to women, to girls, even from the younger ages already, working with incentive programs and scholarships and Kaua'i Community College. And all of that ties into the opportunity that is before our women. And I think it's very important. It's not about the job or the type of occupation, it's about who is in it and how they bring to the table the resources and the ability to reach out to all areas. And I think it's very important that we continue to support that. And I look forward to working very closely with all the different entities and agencies. We got to reach out to the neighboring islands as well. We try to take care at home first and make sure that we have every opportunity here. But what I'm saying is the training and the opportunities for that kind of outreach so that we can continue to support our workforce here on the island of Kaua'i. So thank you so much for the question.
Thank you. Question number 6. Adults in Keiki enjoy the county parks and fields for a variety of reasons. The available restrooms show obvious signs of age, overuse, and vandalism, and are not equipped with changing tables. Facilities often do not meet the specific standards and needs of women and girls. Here's an example. The North Medina fields only have access to porta potties and no trash cans. Recently, a mother shared that her teen daughter, who was playing soccer, had no place to dispose of her feminine hygiene products since there was no trash cans and no menstrual products were available for purchase. This is only one example of a persistent problem that disproportionately affects menstruating people in our community. What change would you pursue to improve the conditions of the restrooms and increase the standard of hygiene and accessibility for all? The question turns to Dr. Addison Bulosan.
For the county, I think the biggest opportunity for us is making sure that all of our county parks and looking at the systems that we have in place that it best reflects that it has these as part of the rules and regulations and part of the county functions. One of the biggest things that I think the county can do is partner with pre-existing nonprofits that are pushing on this they're working super hard, like the Ma'i movement. And that was something that we can partner with directly. The one example that I can look at where we made this change and made parks like these more accessible and more respected and more in partnership with the county is Kalena Park. If you guys have been to Kalena Park lately, there's have been mega changes. So if you notice that there's more access now that we removed the fence and there's more play areas that can be more accessible. And then we partnered with local artists and painted the bathroom so it doesn't look like a very scary place. And now with this message, I think this is super important for us to now speak with our county parks and make sure that all of our facilities have these things, because it's just not acceptable for us to not have these available for our community.
Thank you. And the question turns to Lila Metzger.
Thank you. This is number 2 on my list on why I wanted to run for county council, is because of the lack of facilities that we have on the island, and it's embarrassing, our parks. I've had visitors come, and especially European travelers are appalled at the fact that we have no soap in our washrooms. They're like, where's the soap? It's like, well, it's just not there. I don't know. Wipe your hands somewhere. But that would be immediately. I will go get a paint swatch and go paint the bathrooms that are vandalized, and I will have to look at who's on the shift to maintain certain bathrooms and why there's porta potties and not like legit structures, why Omau Park doesn't have a bathroom. Completely unacceptable. Somewhere where we want our kids and families to frequent, to enjoy, has to have a top-notch level. And maybe we can use COVID funds for that, because this is about hygiene, this is about staying clean and being healthy. And our bathrooms should be number 1 on the Parks and Rec of things to do. And that's something that I'm legitimately passionate about, and it sounds weird to be passionate about a bathroom, but I'm not lying. And I will go myself and start cleaning and show the way for the county workers that are supposed to be maintaining these things if I have to. And the only reason why I'm not right now is because I want to do it when I do have a position, to show the guys that do have that position that your county council person's doing it. I can volunteer later if I don't get in and you guys go do it. I'll join you. But that is something that is unacceptable, and it's a really sad story, and I hope that it doesn't continue, and whoever might be on the council now can get right to that by telling the guys to go do their job tomorrow.
Thank you. And finishing, we will have Luke Evslin.
Yeah, it's a good question. The scenario you described is really bad and somewhat unexcusable. The part of the issue at Medina is that it's around $1 million to build bathrooms on the soccer field side. So what's supposed to happen is that the bathrooms on the stadium side are supposed to be utilized. Often soccer practices was occurring and nobody was opening the bathrooms, so whoever's getting the permit should have access, the code to open the bathrooms on the other side. It wasn't happening. Parks Department has changed the policy, so now if you get a permit to use the soccer fields, you have to open the bathrooms as a condition of the permit. So the bathrooms on the stadium side are not open. That's a violation of the permit holder, right? It's on them to open the bathrooms. People can walk across the street, use the bathrooms. For the trash cans, there was a period where a lot of people were dumping household trash at the trash cans. The maintenance guys, unfortunately, took those trash cans away. Our parks director found out about it and instantly addressed the situation. The trash cans are there, and they hopefully will be there for the foreseeable future. To the broader question of how do we ensure better park facilities, there's a couple parts to it. Number one is funding. Everything always comes back to a lack of funding. Vice Chair Chalk and I, a few years ago, introduced and passed a bill with the council unanimously to allow the Parks Department to charge fees to tourists to park in our beach parks. All of those fees are to remain in the region that they were collected to go towards infrastructure in the park to help raise money. And as everybody has said here, right, vibrant community parks. I hope we have world-class playgrounds here and great beach parks, and they're such an important way for the community to connect with each other. And as Addison said, I was there with him painting Kalena Park, and Kalena Park is just such a great success story for how we can, as a community, revitalize parks, displace bad activity, and have a thriving community down at that park. So.
Thank you. Thank you to all the candidates. We appreciate that. And we will move forward into our rapid fire question, as we have time allotted for that as well. Awesome, just getting the head nod, just making sure. I want to say mahalo to all of the candidates. We now have our last rapid fire question that all of you will answer. Please limit your answer to 2 to 3 sentences. And we will start with Ross and work our way around the table again. I know, what a joy, what a joy. All right, here's the question. Do you consider yourself a feminist? Why or why not? 2 to 3 sentences.
I'm surrounded by women. My mom, my dad died a while ago. My wife, my 2 girls, and my granddaughters. So, yeah, I'm surrounded by women. At home, I'm a slave, but I allow them to death. So. I'm pro-women.
Great. Great. KipuKai?
Yeah, absolutely. I spent my time in the social progressive movement, and people of color, LGBT, labor, women, it's all connected. Solidarity.
Perfect. Lila?
My husband might think he married a feminist, but I do not identify as a feminist.
Yes.
Bernard?
Again, total support, yes.
And Luke?
Yeah, my wife is the strongest person I know. I have a daughter, 5-year-old daughter, runs my life. I have a very strong mother, sisters-in-laws. I'm surrounded by strong women in my life, and I certainly would consider myself a feminist.
Excellent. Thank you to all of the candidates this evening for answering the questions, as well as moving through both the rapid fire and then the 2 to 3 sentence experience. That was a joy. Now, we are going to wrap up the full forum with our closing remarks from each candidate. Again, each candidate will have 2 minutes to express their closing remarks. And we will actually start all the way down the line to your right, so my left, and that will be KipuKai Kualiʻi to kick us off.
Mahalo nui loa to all the sponsors and organizers of tonight's forum, and to everyone listening in I really appreciated the opportunity this presented for us to delve into issues that normally don't get asked in our council forums. As I said, as I wrote in my answer to quality childcare, but I didn't get that question. Even though many of these issues don't register as core issues or normally come under the county's jurisdiction, they are issues that are critical to our community and to our families. And therefore, they should also be seen as critical to our government leaders as well as our business leaders. Let me tell you just a little bit more about myself. I'm the only Native Hawaiian homesteader and land trust beneficiary on the council now. And I do volunteer work in my homestead as a leader and advocate. In 1988, it was the best year of my life. I got to travel the world as a cast member of Up With People. And then I worked in finance for the city of West Hollywood in the 90s before spending 2 years in the nation's capital at the AFL-CIO's Civil Rights Department. All of this prepared me for working collaboratively and effectively with anyone, and for strengthening connections between longtime locals and newer residents. I'll say again, my commitment to you is to do my very best to make a difference by always advocating for our people and for our islands, by dedicating my years of experience to protecting and improving our quality of life. I humbly ask for one of your 7 votes for my re-election. KipuKai Kualiʻi, Mahalo nui loa, and aloha.
Thank you. Moving forward with our closing statements from Lila. Lila Metzger.
My name's Lila Balmores Metzger, just so you don't forget. And yeah, the main reason I'm running is for the island, for the people. I feel a lot of the solutions to the issues that we do have on a county level lie within our community. We just need to have more of the community participating, not just a certain group of people that keep showing up, but like there's a lot of people with really great ideas that could solve a lot of our issues. And like, I just want to be one of the 7 to bring those voices to the table and to make sure other people's ideas are heard or considered even. I'm not a politician, obviously. I'm not doing this for a job. I'm doing this in complete, just as another community service opportunity for me, basically. I hope that I could just stand for putting out the needs and the need for the kids in the future, and just to give them opportunities. I don't want them being left in the dust. And with the development happening on this island that's so rapid, I want to be sure to just stand there to protect our keiki, protect our culture, and to have a future. My slogan is Dream Local, and I just want everybody on the island to be inspired to really, in this voting season, dream local, think local, bring it back down. There's crazy stuff going on all over the world, all over on the mainland, but what's going on here and who's going to help make changes that we want, that's just what I want to encourage you guys to do your research, do your homework, and I think it's time for change.
Thank you. Dr. Addison?
I want to mahalo all of you for showing up today and being here in this room. It's really amazing to see faces and be able to talk story and answer some of the questions that's important to all of you. And I'm sure we would want to have this for a lot longer, so you can ask the questions that you want to ask. There's things that we probably didn't discuss that you would like to discuss. So at any time, you can just pull me over. My fiance will know, she knows I like to talk story. So if you're ready to talk story till like midnight, then approach me. But if you're not, then make sure you shoot an email. My email is addisonbulosan@gmail.com. And I want to mahalo everyone that is tuning back on KKCR and watching on Hoʻike. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to be informed and learning about all of us and seeing how we can best serve you. The reality is, it's gonna be tough. Let's not sugarcoat it, it's gonna be crazy. When we say 42% of people can't afford to live here and they got a job, when we say things like houses doubling in 2 years and people getting displaced, it's not a pretty picture that we're painting. And the fact that me and my fiance gotta debate whether or not we're gonna have a kid because we can't afford one, that's crazy. So you know, it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be pretty. But I have mega hope. I mean, I would not run. I would not be here. All these people would not try to step up. You wouldn't be here if you didn't think there was a solution or there's an ability for us to make things better. If there wasn't, we wouldn't show up. We wouldn't try. So I'm super pumped. And if you have seen me before or worked with me before or see the things that are happening around me or the people that we're part of, we make stuff happen. And I'm super pumped that we're going to make things happen. And that's one of the things that I get really pumped up for. So.
Thank you. And Bernard Carvalho.
I'd like to also mahalo all of our groups and organizations for this awesome opportunity to just share our thoughts and ideas. And I really want to focus on what the role of the council would be in this particular discussion, which is great. Our island has gone through so much in so many different ways, from the North Shore all the way to the West Side. And so we've been in it in so many different situations, and I look forward to bringing my experience to the table and continuing to work closely with our local businesses, our local leadership, and then also reaching out to the federal, state, and county levels and really attracting some of the funding that can come our way. Of course, working close with our administration. There's so many opportunities, but what it really takes, and the magic of making things work, is pulling the resources together, talking story. It's not just one alone. And you may not feel that you're at the table and you can provide, but you're listening. And believe me, you will be part of the solution. So I look forward to continue to work closely with my fellow council members. We've gone through many different discussions. We got to 2 budgets, and I look forward to, again, bringing that resource to the table. And also for our families. That's the big one. How many of our families, we gotta keep our families back home on Kaua'i, and really reaching out into our communities to provide businesses with good support there, with educational opportunities. We talked about childcare. We talked about families going back to work. We've gone through some traumatic times, like I said, but you know what? We are a resilient island, and we have so many opportunities that are before us that I look forward to attracting and bringing to the table, along with my fellow councilmen, like I said, and taking the relationship that we've gotten and really bringing it to the table to best serve the people of Kaua'i and Nihao in every single way. So aloha and mahalo.
Thank you. And Luke Evslin.
Yeah, thank you all again for coming in. It's great to see you all and be at our first candidate forum for this year. Serving these last 4 years has been literally the greatest honor of my life. I'm honored to serve. I'm honored to try and give back to my community. And you know, tonight's questions, I often pivot everything back to housing. And my wife always teases me for pivoting everything back to housing. In every conversation, even with friends, I'm always pivoting it back to the housing crisis. And I do that for 2 reasons. One, because I think housing is the biggest issue we face, and it does impact all these other areas. But 2, at a county level, we are really limited in what we can do, right? We can't do things that, you know, we're preempted by the state on a lot of things, but the areas that we have very clear authority from the state is in zoning and in property taxes, right? Those are our 2 big policy buckets. So for me, every time we face an issue, any issue, you know, the issues we talk about tonight, or every issue we face, you know, I love policy. You know, we're legislators. Our primary job there is to make laws or change laws. And so for me, anytime I see a problem, I'm always trying to funnel it through what are the levers that we can do as a county. And so often this comes back to property taxes and zoning. So I spend my whole life talking about and thinking about property taxes and zoning. Now that I've got a minute left, I'm going to bore you guys with some of the policies we've passed over the last 4 years. But I'm really a policy guy, so my first big policy, ARU incentive package, eliminated permitting fees for ARUs, so people can permit them for free if they're going to do it affordably. That's an Ohana unit. Passed legislation with the council, introduced with Vice Chair Chalk, and passed it to hopefully provide homeowners with entirely free septic systems to allow them to add onto their house. Did legislation with Councilmember Kualiʻi to define and legalize tiny homes across the island. Legislation with Councilmember Carvalho to prohibit community covenants from restricting against additional dwelling units, rental units. I rounded out policy. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. And to close this off, Ross Kagawa.
Thank you. Yeah, just a little bit more about myself. I was the first general manager of the professional team in Kauaʻi. It was the Kaua'i Legends of the Hawaii Winter Baseball League. One of my players was Jason Yami. You can look him up. He's up there for home runs in career Major League. I taught 18 years at Kappa High School, special ed, 10 years of driver ed at Kappa High School. So I was there a long time. That was my, I think, advantage in at least, I'm a West Side boy, but some of the Kappa people got to know me, so that was good for me to get, some votes for council. But my daughters went to Kaua'i, and then, now I have 2 granddaughters. I coach soccer, youth soccer. I'm a referee right now, sitting here today for high sub. So I know about that bathroom problem, and countless times I've been told by the administration that they're gonna have the bathrooms open. But again, that is why you need an active council that's gonna put these things, on Channel 53 for all Kaua'i to watch, and that's how you get action. Like the fire, I'm most proud that I prevented the fire spiking from continuing. Their the fire chief was padding overtime for soon-to-retire firefighters, and the state, caught them for spiking, intentional, spiking. And the chief at that time said, nothing is the contract. But lo and behold, when we got a new fire chief, the spiking is gone. 2 million, I saved the county by being persistent. 2 million a year. And that is the kind of experience and toughness I think I bring to the table to the council. I may make a lot of noise, but I deliver results. Thank you.
Thank you. And a big mahalo to all of the candidates here this evening, to you, the audience, for being here. Let's give a round of applause for our candidates. Yes, we have an entire audience here with you, those that are listening on KKCR and will be watching on Hoʻike Community Television. We do want to say mahalo to the sponsors, Kamāwaelualani, Keiki 2 Career, Mokihana Club, YWCA Kauaʻi, Zonta Club of Hanalei, and Zonta Club of Kauaʻi. Mahalo to KKCR for broadcasting live. Woohoo! For the Raishu Business Association for their kokua with sound, yes. And Hoʻike Community Television and our videographer, Chalsie Quel. Thank you so much. Another round, please. Beautiful, supporting one another. And to remind you to join us again for a second night of candidate forums tomorrow, right here, at 5 p.m. We will be joined by Fern, Ānuenue, Holland, Felicia Cowden, Lila DeCosta, Nelson, Mukai, Mel Rapozo, Roy, Saito, and Rachel Secretario. We close with this thought. There were many pressing concerns related to women and children addressed here tonight. We believe women and children want, need, deserve, and demand action. Please vote, and thank you so much for your time. Aloha.
Hello everyone, aloha and welcome to the second and final night of our County Council Candidate Forum. My name is Emma White. I'm the Social Justice Advocate at YWCA Kauaʻi. We want to extend a big mahalo to our partners, Kamāwaelualani, Kaua'i Community Radio, Keiki 2 Career, the Mokihana Club, Zonta Club of Hanalei, and Zonta Club of Kaua'i. We've come together as nonprofit agencies that have complementary missions and want to lift up issues that are critical to women in Keiki. You can find more information about our partners' work and upcoming events in the back of the room or online at YWCAvote.org. We would like to emphasize that from the very beginning of our planning process, our work together has been strictly nonpartisan. Please be assured that no candidate, regardless of any personal or professional relationships, has received any type of advantage. Every candidate has been given equal time and opportunity to prepare and will be given equal time and opportunity throughout tonight's forum. Our goal has been to provide all candidates with an opportunity to address the issues that are critical for women and children in our community. Allow me to introduce our moderator for tonight, Pat Griffin. Pat is a historian and author of numerous articles as well as 2 books, The Hue, Root and Branch of a Hawaii Town, and Wilcox Memorial Hospital in the 20th Century. She serves as president of the Lihue Business Association and as a member of the historic Hawaii Foundation Board of Trustees and the Hawaii Public Radio Community Advisory Board. Mahalo to Pat, the candidates, our in-person audience, and mahalo to those listening live on KKCR and watching on Hoʻike. And with that, I'm going to hand the reins over to Pat.
Good evening, everybody. It's an honor and a privilege for me to moderate this second night of the first Council Candidate Forum of 2022. My hat is off to all of the sponsors and to the YWCA they were founded 101 years ago here on Kaua'i and have been working tirelessly since to benefit our community and the people in our community who need it the most. I welcome our audience both in person and on KKCR with live streaming. Coming here to be with us tonight puts you amongst our citizens most committed to island welfare and to our nation's republic. The ballots, I understand, will start reaching mailboxes a week from today, so look out for them, and I know you will. I also want to thank our candidates here tonight. We appreciate your courage, your passion, and your dedication. It's not an easy task, we know, to subject yourself to widespread inspection and possible criticism. So thank you for being willing to put yourself out to serve this community. Last night, we had 6 candidates: Lila Metzger, Addison Bulosan, Bernard Carvalho, Luke Evslin, Ross Kagawa, and KipuKai Kualiʻi. And tonight, as you can see, Fern, Ānuenue, Holland, Felicia Cowden, Billy DeCosta, Nelson Mukai, Mel Rapozo, Roy Saito, and Rachel Secretario. There are a few ground rules. Because I know you are all courteous and polite people, you know these things already. But to clarify, you audience, please refrain from applauding in support or lack of support for any candidate, because this is a forum, it's not a rally. Also, to candidates, you of course will refrain from personal attack. I know you'd never think of doing so anyway. And remember to strictly observe our time limit. You will have much more to say than our 2-minute response series of questions will allow, but that's the time we have. So a timekeeper will hold up cards indicating when 30 seconds remain and then display a time's up card. I was just going to ask you to do that. Thank you very much. At that point, your pal, when our timekeeper says time's up, and if necessary, I will interrupt you as politely as possible and go on to the next candidate. For all of you, as Emma said, the forum is being broadcast on KKCR and is being filmed for later airing on Hoʻike. There will be some online accessibility soon as well. For additional info, again, as Emma said, including the candidates' written responses to questions, visit ywahinevote.org. That's ywahinevote.org. So thank you very much. And tonight will be a combination of 2-minute questions and that a few each time of our candidates will answer. They don't know which questions they're going to get, and a couple of rapid-fire short answer rounds. So over the course of the evening, each candidate will be asked the same number of questions and have the same amount of time to answer. And the questions themselves have been assigned to the various candidates randomly. Ready? Okay, we'll start with 2 minutes for opening comments by each candidate. Ms. Secretario.
Can you start? Yes, thank you. Aloha, I am Rachel Secretario. I am from the Garden Island, for the Garden Island. I was born and raised here on Kaua'i, and being on County Council would provide a way to give back to the community that raised me. I went to Kapa'a Elementary School, Kapa'a Middle, Kapa'a High School. I went to Kaua'i Community College and the University of Hawaii at Manoa to receive my political science degree. In high school, I was fortunate to receive the Congress Bundestag Scholarship and lived in Germany for a year. I did not know any German, but I was able to speak it fluently in 4 months, thanks to having a good sense of humor and always pushing to have a growth mindset. In college, I received a Rotary Scholarship to go to Japan and a Fulbright Scholarship to live abroad in South Africa. It is important to understand our community and how we can possibly mirror successful programs and policies made in other communities. This has been quite an experience running for County Council. I'm excited to serve. I am currently PTA President for Kapa'a Elementary School. I'm a new Lion Cub representing the East Kauai Lions Club. I'm enrolled in the class of 2023 for the leadership of Kaua'i. I work with my father, Nelson Secretario, to help run our family business to help others become financially independent. I teach art part-time and substitute teach at Kapa'a Elementary School, and I have a very positive mindset and enjoy working with others. I'm here to work with all of you to ignite change in our community and help Kauai thrive. Mahalo, I'm Rachel.
Thank you. Mr. Saito.
I own the old shop next to Ikeda's Barbershop, been there by 15 years. I've raised 2 daughters here, lived on the island for approximately 40 years. I've seen a lot of changes. I see changes that need to happen too. Running for office up here put me in a position, so I wanted to help our community out and go the direction we need to. There's been too much stagnation. We need to make changes. We need to work on our infrastructures. We need to do a lot of different things. And I'd love to see county, when they do something in the council time, not only get the project done, but follow through with the project to its very end. So that's what my goal is. I have a lot of questions that on the council. I want to know what the consequences are for the actions that they take. So when they're passing the bill, I want to know long term. I want to know what 2 years from now, 5 years from now, on a bill that they pass, what's it going to do to us? And is it beneficial? That's what I'm looking at. I'm not here to work for me. I'm not here to serve for me. I'm here to work with my community because that's exactly what I do for a living. I've helped several Boy Scouts go to different camps, different training centers by going to my gold shop. People getting cancer treatments. I help people save homes, save cars, all in that direction because I can help them show how to financially get better with what they have. Don't spend the money you got. Spend what you don't have, which is sitting in a box somewhere in your house. Anyway, so I'm Roy Secretary, running for council. Thanks.
Mr. Rapozo.
Mel Rapozo from YWCA, married to Patsy, who's here, so I gotta be here tonight. I have 2 kids that unfortunately live in Oregon because they can't afford to live here. It's one of the reasons I decided to get back into politics. Born and raised here, high school graduate, was in the police force for 13 years. Was in the Air National Guard, retired after 21 years. Had my own private investigation business, also worked in the hotel industry as a night auditor full-time for 12 years. So all those years I was on the council, I was working full-time as a night auditor to make served 7 terms on the county council in the past. My last 2 terms as the council chair. Why am I running again? Well, it's really getting the community back engaged. You know, our voter turnout was less than 40% this year. And the reason for that is they have lost interest, they have lost trust, they have just felt that it's not important enough to vote. 39% is truly embarrassing, and that's something that, you know, I take responsibility for, because we didn't make it attractive enough for people to turn out and vote. We just didn't. They felt, whether it's apathy or whatever it is, and we need to change that. One of the things I really want to see is the community engagement back, and having the community have a say at the table. Oftentimes I'm reading about things that are happening that we had really no idea was happening. And that's all I truly want to bring back to the council. So, Mel Rapozo, thank you for having us tonight.
Mr. Mukai.
Yeah, hi, my name is Nelson Mukai. I'm running for County Council, and I just wanted to share that I just lost my dad 2 weeks ago, and he was my mentor throughout my whole life. I followed in his footsteps. He had a good example for me to follow. He was in all kind of leadership roles, and you know, I really hurt by his passing, but you know, I'm born and raised on Kauaʻi. I lived in California for 20 years. I moved back here. I went to University of Hawaii at Manoa, got my bachelor's degree in political science, and I like coaching. I like teaching. I was a manager too in business. I know I can do a good job on this council. You know, just I just need a seat to sit on, and you know, just use my thoughts, and you know, I just you know, I'm a good listener, and I have sound judgment. I think common sense things, and I will support issues that I believe is very worthy of to follow. You know, like abortion. You know, I'm against abortion. I'm education. That's my main platform. I'm a school teacher, so my main platform is education. I want to teach kids. I want to give them the attention that they need. I want to have programs for them to go to. You know, now they don't have nothing to do after school. So
thank you,
okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Mukai. Billy DeCosta.
Hello everybody, Billy DeCosta. I just want to say thank you guys for showing up. I almost feel a little bit intimidated with this room full of empowered women, and I'm sitting next to 2 very empowered women next to me. You know what made me pretty happy tonight was I was able to pull out Fern Ānuenue's chair, which I know she doesn't like that, but I did it for her. And then I opened Felicia's cap on her bottle because she had a hard time opening up her cap. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm a local boy, born and raised in Pakala. I was raised 6 of us kids and put myself through college in California. Got a degree in economic study of money, how to make money and money circulate. Been teaching 23 years. I am currently the building and construction teacher at Kappa High School, and I'm currently working on a tiny home. I have about 26 kids per class, and 4 or 5 are girls, and my girls all are empowered to run the shop. They give out the instructions, they hold the blueprint, they run the chop saws and the drills, and when one of the girls with their nails tell me, Uncle Bill, my nail broke using the chop saw, I say, well, put your big girl boots on, and you can fix that nail when you go home, but you go finish cutting the wood, because you got the boys all watching if you can do the job. So I believe in empowering women when they're a little girl, not just trying to fix it now. Couple things I'm very proud of on the council is, first of all, I take zero money in my campaign. I'm $26 in my own campaign. And it's kind of hard for a politician to do. I don't listen to any lobbyists, I listen to you guys. I introduced a 3-exempt bill, which I'm very proud of. I introduced I introduced the tree exempt bill, which held large landowners accountable to pay their land taxes, because up until then, they were getting away without paying taxes for 25 years until they harvest the trees. And it was a way to land bank. And if you guys could not pay your residential land taxes, wouldn't that be great? So I took a stand and I challenged them, and we were able to pass that bill. I voted to put money into housing, 2% of the money. I lost a little bit of time, didn't I? Can I go on? And I introduced an ag bill with Luke Evslin is going to incentivize food security and take away gentlemen ranching across the island.
Thank you. Ms. Cowden.
Hi, I'm Felicia Cowden, and I'm honored to be running for my third term in office as your councilwoman. My priorities are basically keeping our people on the island. We need our generational history and our connection to the land. I want to help people have a purposeful life with meaningful work. So what gets in the way of that is the economic pressure on our island has grown so much stronger for many, and this is happening across the nation. It's not unique to Kaua'i. We need to outcreate the limitations that we face. I want to acknowledge the sponsors of this forum because they are well versed in understanding the challenges that people face. It has been a privilege to work with many of you on the Domestic Violence Task Force, the Kaua'i Resilience Project. I've been an advisor to the Kaua'i Mental Health Alliance, the Kaua'i Suicide Prevention Task Force, Nourish Kaua'i, a community affairs programmer on KKCR, and a contributor to YWCA Television, and also on the East Kaua'i line. My professional background is in engineering, business. I had Hanalei Surf Company for 8 years, education, and investing. So these 4 decades of Kaua'i community advocacy, the private sector, and government have me well prepared to guide county policy. And what is one of the strongest elements for me is that I have the time and the focus to do this full time. There's nothing competing for my energy or attention. I will be out there for you. You can always call me, I will come. And I really like to learn from the people. What I want to do is build solutions rather than new laws. I want to relieve pressure rather than create more taxes, more costs, making it a little bit more difficult for housing and whatever else we need. I'm Felicia Cowden, and I am honored to be looking at my 3rd term for Kaua'i County Council.
Thank you. And Ms. Holland.
Aloha, my name is Fern Ānuenue, Holland. I was born and raised in Kapahi. I'm a graduate of Kapa'a High School. Like Rachel, I went to elementary, middle school, and high school at Kapa'a. I went away to college in Australia where I studied science. I returned home 10 years ago with a Bachelor's of Science and triple majors in environmental fields of science, including marine biology, wildlife management, and environmental sciences. I am very committed and dedicated to this community. I love Kaua'i, I love our home and our people. I would like to fight for a more just island, an island where my friends have a good future and life, and our next generation can afford to live here. I'm very passionate about working on addressing affordable housing, on-island drug rehabilitation and treatment, and addressing the services that our county really needs to provide. I will be a very transparent and honest voice in our council, and I will fight very hard for our people. Thank you.
Thanks to all of you. And now we're going to go into 2-minute questions that will be split up amongst some of you. 3 of the questions. So the first question is 42% of our Kaua'i families struggle to make ends meet. This includes families living under the federal poverty level, as well as ALICE families. ALICE is an acronym for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, and Employed. This struggle places enormous stress on the family and the Keiki. The question is, how can the county ease the financial burden too many of our families are facing? Ms. Holland, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I believe that we can start to address the things that cost the most, like affordable housing, and we've seen a lot of efforts over the last few years to try to target ways that we can bring down the cost of housing. I think that's a major thing that we can do. But we can also support through subsidies and through programs where we help reduce the cost of living for families in need, especially, and work with all the wonderful partners throughout the county and the state to figure out how to best support all the great nonprofits and work that's happening in our community. I would say that we can also help to address the underlying causes of things that really impact families working 60 hours a week or more. And I understand that very intimately. I worked 85 to 100 hours a week for 2.5 years to keep my home. And I really understand and watch my friends, move away every year because of these kind of issues, especially when we're dealing with women and children in need in lower income families. I believe that the county should do everything they can to support, and I'd be immediately trying to create a task force of people that work most closely on this issue to learn the things that they really believe can drive us forward, and do everything I can in the position of council member to ensure that those things are done and that our island becomes more livable.
Thank you. Ms. Cowden? Okay, well, I want to first of all say I agree with Fern. She brought up so many important points, and so rather than repeating them, I want to talk about different ways that we have helped, different ways that we can help, and then how I think that we could outcreate some of the problem. Certainly housing is at the root and the core of the challenge that we have. When people don't have a house, they don't have stability for the most part. There's a few that might be outside of that. But one thing that we can do is allow and encourage more community first types of living styles. That's something that people really need to do oftentimes. They take care of one another. The way the American system has been since World War II really moves away from that, but as a species, that's what we do. We take care of our parents, we take care of our kids, having more allowance for family compounds when we're looking at the plantation camp zoning that we are reviving that worked so well in the past. I think it could work well again, especially when we have, neighborhood agriculture, so we have our food. We need one another. Loving one another is one of the best ways to keep us away from drugs and keep us living more pono and supportive of people. When we look at supportive funding where possible, we've had a couple of years of the renthelp.com that has really helped to bridge people through not being able to pay the rent. We've added additional HUD and housing vouchers. We have raised the rate to which those HUD vouchers can pay. We are working hard. We got 300 plus houses that we brought on last few years. We've got about 300 to 400 coming in front of us. Creating housing is a big piece, but getting more creative on how we do that and allowing, as I said, community living. So thank you.
Thank you. And now to this side of the table, Mr. Mukai.
Okay, my feeling about this issue is that we're just printing too much money right now, without any backing. We don't have any gold, we don't have silver, we don't have anything to back up all that money that we're printing, by the president. And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse because, according to the Bible, we're living in the end times, and we gotta start working and getting educated so that we can, get this affordable housing issue down. And with the way things are going, we're getting wars, and I hate to be a sad guy, but I believe in Bible prophecy that things are going to get worse and before they get better. And I'm here running for political office because I want to make a difference. And I don't like the way we're going. I have goals in my life, So basically, we gotta work. We gotta get educated, and we gotta all get out of this hole that we're in. We got a $30-something trillion deficit, and if we don't work, kids don't work nowadays. They don't get educated. Hey, we're up the creek. So, okay.
Thank you. And finally, on this question, Mr. Rapozo.
Thank you. The charter and the separation of power really prohibits the council from doing anything administratively. A lot of the questions we have tonight relate to programs that the council really doesn't have an authority to do. We cannot direct a department head to do anything. However, we have obviously a lot of influence, and we control the budget, and that is where I think the council really needs to step up. I think, a lot of people talk about affordable housing, but what is affordable housing? What is truly affordable housing? Is $600,000 affordable? Absolutely not. We could build 30,000 homes right now, and I can tell you, a majority of those homes will be bought up from people from the mainland coming here and buying homes. If we're not selling these homes and focusing on the local families and set the prices that are income driven, in other words, set the prices where the local families can afford. But we're not going to win this game. You could build as much as you want. So the whole housing issue, the whole housing policy needs to change. And we need to direct our energies on making sure we get our local families in homes, whether it's lease to own, rentals, or purchase. Again, we can build 40 unit, we can do a 40 unit project, but if 60 people are being kicked out of their homes because their homes are being purchased, then we're not going to win this. And we got to really change the focus. The other thing is, this last year, we had enjoyed a huge surplus of funds. Huge surplus. COVID funding. But I don't believe there was any discussion on lowering our real property tax. I would have been fighting to lower our real property tax for local homeowner classifications. To use up some of those funds. Not spend it. The council's job is to provide the checks and balances on the administration, and we need to start doing that in a much better way. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second question revolves around quality child care. It's essential to both child development and economic health, but it's unaffordable for typical families in Hawaii. Infant care for one child would take up 16% of a median family income here. For two children, an infant and a 4-year-old, it's 26.4%, over a quarter of a family's income, which comes out to $22,667. There's also a dearth of available spaces and no accessible and licensed infant and toddler care on Kaua'i. The question is three-part. Does the county have a responsibility to do its part to address the child care crisis its residents are facing? If so, how can the county help families afford child care? And finally, how can it help our providers increase their capacity? Mr. Saito, it's yours.
My daughter pointed out something to me yesterday. We were on this discussion regarding this, and they call it FFN, Family, Friends, and Neighbors. Those are our first line defenders and people who do child care. If it isn't for our family, our friends, and our neighbors that take care of our children when we have to work, what would we have? The child care centers that are basically out there are either overbooked or overpriced, or they're understaffed. So those are the three main issues I see with child care in that direction. We need to start looking at probably getting the community more involved as a whole, because I'm strong on community. Family is first. We all should be looking at that and having to do assistance for others. Take the 3 hours to take care of someone's child in your family so they can have a break, that kind of issue. To me, that's frontline. You can do workforce development, which is offered at KCC, where they can get training to become child care providers, but we have to advertise and start recruiting to get people in that field. To fix the problem now, that is not fixed. That is for future. But at least if we start, we will have that in the future. Families that take care of children, there is compensation for them if they know where to look for it, either through nonprofits or through other agencies, which is a good deal, because we got to remember, our friends and family are professionals. They're taking care of our children, making sure their welfare and their safety is there. And we should treat them as such. Thanks.
Thank you. And Ms. Secretario.
Yes, the county has the responsibility to address this child care crisis. I love Roy Saito's right about the friends and family. I was lucky enough to be able to stay at home with my daughter, but unfortunately that was in the mainland where cost of living is a lot lower. But I was also fortunate to have a lot of friends to help me out. Again, just to go back to here in the county, affordable housing, tax incentives for families to run childcare in their homes. We could support single moms, moms groups. We could have programs, childcare subsidies, more of those, vouchers, fee assistance to bring back. We could also bring back our 4K program. I understand this would be more of a state issue, but communities with a 4K program have a huge advantage over other states that do not provide free preschool. As a former preschool teacher, I know that it's crucial to start building positive and social emotional bonds and have a structured day helps children thrive. So if possible, I would promote education for in-house daycare programs and work with other nonprofits to help families find care and jobs. I did not know about the workforce development at KCC, but it's definitely something that we could promote in our high schools and start today even. So we really just need to provide that education, so people can provide for their ohana. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. DeCosta.
Thank you. Child care is like the construction cost of building a house. If you guys go out there and talk to all those contractors, they all set their price at so much a square foot. And if everybody hold their price to that square footage, you don't get a cheaper home built. Just like child care. Go out and price child care. I believe it's between $800 to $900 a month. And that's the going rate. You do the math, it's about 12 months, it's about $10,000 plus dollars. The county has many responsibilities. Child care is not one of them currently, but I can tell you the council, my colleague next to me knows this. We decided to renovate this old big safe here in Lihue so we could get a space that people could rent so they could do child care. But what if we rent the space so high that they have no choice but to charge a mom or dad or couple the price of $800 to $900 a month? How about this? How about having an area when we build our affordable housing? Put some money into a building that we can put our kids in when the parents leave for work and they come back and the kids are in their neighborhood at the building, ran by some internship people that would like to become a child care giver. Maybe we could have a small tax incentive to let people operate a business from their home, like a child care business. Right now on a residential piece of property, it's almost impossible to have a business. Maybe we can give a tax incentive. And like how we did affordable rent, we have to keep it a certain price so you qualify for your real property tax to be low. How about give them an incentive to do childcare at a reasonable cost, $400 a month maybe per child, and they get a property tax break on that. I don't know. Nobody has the answer, otherwise they would have probably solved the problem by now. But those are ways that we can think out of the box.
Thank you. For the third 2-minute question in this series, we are looking at foster care. According to a 2021 study by the Department of Human Services, the 45% of children in foster care in Hawaii are Kanaka Maoli. Many of our foster youth have been sent to other islands or the continent for foster placement, causing additional trauma from being displaced from their homeland and their culture. The question is, what are you going to do to support our foster care system to keep our Kaua'i Keiki at home? Ms. Secretario.
So again, this goes back to the fact that we need to have more affordable housing and tax incentives for parents to opt into being a foster parent. I lived in the Midwest where there was tons of support given to foster parents and programs promoting foster care. They practically hold your hand through the process. At the same time, this was in a community where the cost of living was lower. We could also provide more parent education and more programs, activities for young adults so that they can be supported as new parents and stop the neglect that happens to these children. This is the #1 reason that foster care is at an all-time high, this neglect. It is heart-wrenching to see the effects of behavior problems in the school caused by this neglect. Either the parents are on drugs or incarcerated. We just really need to love these kids, show support, show the need, get the community involved, and really just educate everyone. And just keep getting them educated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Saito.
Let's see here. Child care.
What are you going to do to support our foster care system to keep our Kaua'i Keiki at home?
Still in the roundabout process, sorry. Foster care. Basically, you need to advocate trauma-informed practices and training for caregivers and service delivery persons. You know, it's a big issue to be able to educate and train and be supportive for the people in our community. Here again is friends, families, and neighbors. So if there's an issue that foster care needs to happen, maybe they should be looking in that direction first, if it is available. If it is not available, then we need to start looking at trying to recruit people on island. There was a small push a couple of years ago that they were looking for foster parents, because I've seen the billboards everywhere, posters. We need to get back into that. We need to start advocating people to become foster care people for island. So if you want to keep them here, let's get people here to do it, because there is many people here that do not work, that are at home, that are fully capable of doing this. As long as they pass the certain criteria and they meet the safety of the child, that's the perfect way to go. If we don't do that, we're going to have this issue of children leaving, and parents can't find their kids, and that is wrong. Because, breakdown. I don't know what I would do if they took my child away from me, and I wouldn't know what to do and how to deal with it. But you know, it's not just me; it's the trauma on the child. We need to work on that issue most. Make sure they're safe, they're well taken care of. They can have communication with their parents or whoever they need to, siblings or whatever. But education and advocacy is the direction to go. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. DeCosta.
You know, as I sat over here and thinking, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. And I looked over at you and I had a connection, I had a light bulb. I had a light bulb, you guys. I have a solution. How about, it's a state and federal issue actually. This is not a county issue, guys. We got a landfill. We got plenty of other problems. But what if the state would give a stipend to a teacher or teachers or a couple to take care of a foster child, and now they qualify after 2 years of caring for the child, they're first on the list for the next housing development. If you guys want to keep people from the mainland coming here and buying our local houses, how about give your school teachers a chance to be first on the list to purchase a home? They need to do 2 years of foster care, and they get a stipend on top of that. And they have the option to adopt their child. At the age of 5 to 17, they're in school anyway, so their teacher got to go to work. They can bring their child with them to school. He or she can be enrolled in classes, and they can pick them up and take them home. And they would qualify for some benefits that we have. Because I don't know the solution. We all can talk the buzzwords and make you guys believe that we may solve this problem. That's a real-time solution. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Holland.
Thank you. I would say that while this is a state issue, there's always certain things that the county can do to try to address the need by working with the partners. Obviously, there's always bringing the right people to the table and helping to support however we can. I do believe strongly that keeping families together is really important, and I've seen that throughout my life growing up. I've seen a lot of my nieces and nephews struggle, and just recently my sister-in-law took in one of our nephews through a foster care program. And I think one of the tangible things that we could do as a county is to create a second location for, there's only a single visitation facility on Kaua'i where families can actually get to see their children and have those visitations, and I believe it's in Kagawa, which really is hard for especially West Side families. And I think creating more locations where families can be together and the healing can happen is really, really important. I also learned recently about the zoning code limitations related to blood relationships, and I know Councilmember Evslin has talked about trying to create a path for fixing that, because it prevents too many people that don't have blood relation from being in the household, and that could limit some foster abilities. I think again, a lot of this stuff comes down to addressing the core issues that really impact families on Kaua'i. Among them, absolutely affordable housing. addressing the drug problem is, again, another major problem with why our kids end up in foster care in the first place. And the overall, cost of living on Kaua'i. Fundamentally, when it comes to addressing the kanaka issue that you mentioned about foster care, a lot of it has to do with fixing the displacement of Native Hawaiians in their own land. I could go, I only have a few seconds, but that connects back to a larger project I've been working on to acquire the Cocoa Palms property for the benefit of Hawaiian children, education, and cultural advancement. So I think there's a lot of things on a county level that we can do to support the fundamental issues.
Thank you so much. And now we are changing the timing and looking at a very serious topic with a challenging kind of answer for our candidates. And we will ask this of all the candidates to have their answer in 3 words or less. Despite Hawaii having been the first state in the nation to legalize abortion, and despite Governor Ige's executive order this week providing safeguards for women traveling here from other states for such health care services, the recent Supreme Court Dobbs decision, which overturned a half-century of legal precedent, has raised concerns about the possible erosion of abortion rights in Hawaii. Abortion is still legal and available in Hawaii, though this month's Hawaii Business Magazine, among others, has stated that access is often difficult. Recent polls do show that 66% of Hawaii residents support legal abortion. And the question when I say it, Mr. Rapozo, I'm going to start with you, and then if each of you in turn, coming down this row, will speak, and we'll end up with Ms. Secretario and Mr. Saito. So the question is, how about you? If elected, would you vote for a resolution to support improving abortion access on Kaua'i? 3 words or less.
Right language, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Mukai.
Abortion is murder.
Thank you. Mr. DeCosta.
Listen to the testimony.
Wait a minute. Ms. Cowden.
If it's Pono.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Y'all did, with one exception. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Secretario.
Yes, I would. I support.
Yes, I do support abortion.
You guys aren't very good at this 3 words thing. So, because of that, this time we want 3 sentences or less. You gotta give a break. Kaua'i and other rural areas have elevated rates of youth suicide. 11% of our high school students report having attempted suicide. The risk is significantly higher for LGBTQ students and teens on Kaua'i, with 41% reporting suicidal thoughts. The question is, what is one thing you will do while in office to support our LGBTQ youth? And this time, we will start with Mr. Mukai and move in that direction, come back to Ms. Holland, and end with Mr. DeCosta. Mr. Mukai.
I'm a high school and middle school teacher.
I'm a high school and middle school teacher, and I see students who are just in the daze sometimes, and you can't get their attention. It's all on the cell phone. They're just mesmerized by the cell phone. The kids, and we got to change that. And I think it's the Bible. We got to bring Scripture back to.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, 3 sentences or less. Mr. Rapozo.
Can you repeat that one more time for me?
I certainly can. There's a high incidence of suicidal thoughts among our LGBTQ students, teens here. What is one thing you will do while in office to support our LGBTQ youth?
I think suicide is a horrific thing that we're experiencing right now. I think the county, and again, a lot of these issues are state issues. However, if it impacts our citizens, it's a county issue. I think we just got to do a better job overall with suicide prevention and suicide awareness across the board, focusing on the demographics that are highly vulnerable. I would definitely support that.
Thank you. Mr. Saito.
I agree with Mel that we need to be able to take care of our children. Everyone has the same rights, the equal rights. We all should be treated the same regardless of who or where we are.
Thank you. It's hard, you know, how do you count all these compound sentences we're suddenly getting? Ms. Secretariat.
I would like to be a leader in our community to help the LGBTQ youth feel safe, put stickers in every public bathroom, every single bathroom, and let them know about the Trevor Project, committed to leveraging our crisis services, peer support, advocacy, education, and research programs to better understand and foster resilience and really support their mental health.
Thank you. And Ms. Holland.
I will do everything I can to support the LGBTQI community in every way. I believe that we need to focus on education, support, services, and I need to better understand from those that are working on the front line of this issue what's most needed, and I'll absolutely do it.
Thank you. Ms. Cowden.
I regularly support youth with LGBTQ characteristics since I was a teacher many years ago. I believe all children, regardless of label or demographic, need to be loved, filled with respect, and treated with dignity. And policy that supports that would be something I would always get behind.
Thank you. Mr. DeCosta.
Well, I do it every day. I'm a high school teacher. I have those kids in my class. I preach this and I show them mentorship, kindness. I think if we all could be a little bit more kind to each other.
Thank
Doesn't
you.
matter what we are, we just need to be kind.
Now, to give your moderator a break, we are going back to 2-minute questions. So we will have 4 candidates answer this question. Domestic violence is a leading cause of homelessness. In fact, a recent U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development report indicates that 57% of all women experiencing homelessness report domestic violence as the immediate cause. The question is, what initiatives would you propose to help victims of domestic violence who are experiencing homelessness in our community? Ms. Cowden, take it.
I think one thing that's important is no bail for repeat violent offenders. What we do is we put women in incarceration when they have to be hiding for months, when it should be the perpetrator that's doing it. So I think that we need to flip that script. I've tried. I will continue to try. This is a piece with the prosecutor's office. It's also the victim witness protection. And it extends to the broader family as well, who are impacted when people are allowed to continue with this type of behavior. I have high active focus on the displaced or houseless population, so I see what happens there a lot. I want to just also, as a mother of 2 sons, to say men matter too. You know, it's not just women, and sometimes men are really in these very difficult situations of being beat out of their homes by either another man or a woman. But that's the main thing, is that we can't just keep letting these people out with bail.
Thank you. Mr. Rapozo. Surprised? Yeah.
You know, it goes back to my original comments about the affordable housing. I mean, that's kind of the problem, that we're not providing these families an opportunity to find housing or alternate housing. You know, the judiciary will do what they do. You know, they're going to set their bill as set by statute. The shelter that the YWCA runs is a phenomenal resource. And it's one that, when I was a police officer, we relied on the taking victims of domestic violence. Oftentimes, these women don't want to go. Oftentimes, these women want to return because they love their abuser. I mean, it's real. But at some point, again, it's awareness, education, and it's providing the services and making sure it's readily available. The council has always supported the Y, and I think, you know, we really got to start looking at expansion of these emergency shelters so our victims can have access without stigma, where they can show up and know that they're going to be taken care of. And that's where the council comes in. And I'll just give you a real quick example. While we cannot do the administrative function, Renee will tell you, years ago, the administration at the time removed the $60,000 funding for your crisis hotline. Renee called me up, I flipped the lid because how could we do that? That hotline had saved lives, and I've seen it with my own eyes as a cop. And it was the council that put the $60,000 in. It was only $60,000. But the council can't, you know, again, if the council doesn't know the need, then it's very hard for them to act. And that's where I talk about the community engagement with the council, so the council can be well aware of the need, so we can make an effort to try to resolve that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Mukai. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Mukai.
Okay, for me, my past experience with one of our tenants, me and my dad, we built houses in the 80s, and we built the house and we rented it out, you know, for very affordable. That's about $1,000, a 3-bedroom house. And we put in HUD people, and she was with 2 or 3 kids, I forget. But, you know, that's one way we helped by building houses and help the housing shortage. We don't charge too much for our houses, so we try to help the problem. Although, you know, we have, I don't know how many houses, like 5 houses that we rent out. But some of them have California or mainland people come in, but you know, it's just, yeah. Basically, that's my experience with HUD, and we can have other programs like food bank and other projects that we can work on.
Thank you very much. And finally, Ms. Holland.
Oh, thank you for this very important question. Absolutely, what we can do is continue to support the YWCA however we can and expand the shelter. I absolutely agree with that. I also like, you know, again, a lot of these things on a county level come down to addressing those core issues that really impact our county. Be it affordable housing, be it addressing the drug problem majorly connected to violence and domestic abuse. You know, I think there's ways that we can within the county. We don't have a lot of oversight, you know, as has been said, but I would say that with the police and the first responders, there's training and there's education that we could absolutely do for them to be able to identify and be able to provide help and solutions. I also think, you know, we can support the services and expand the services that are needed for the, you know, women and children mostly in need, and being able to, you know, address, there are times where women are, you know, actually found to be, you know, persecuted for being in these situations. And I think having more education in the county about how we address domestic violence is really important when helping women navigate difficult times where there might be issues, you know, like was mentioned by Councilmember Cowden, where they're maybe houseless or, you know, in trouble for something that is actually led from an abusive situation at home. So I think there's ways that we can look at that, and we can train our first responders to be more prepared and more understanding about what's available, and then do everything we can on a county level to support those services.
Thank you. Our next question will have 3 candidates answer. Although progress has been made in career fields that have been traditionally male-dominated, inequities remain. For 2 examples in Kaua'i County, there are currently no women active firefighters, and out of 100 patrol officers, only 10 are women. There are no female detectives or women in leadership positions above the rank of sergeant. The question is, What steps can the council take to increase the number of women serving and ensure fair opportunities for career advancement? Mr. DeCosta, you start us out on that one.
You know, 1996, I took the fireman test. I took it 3 times actually. And I lost Paramount base to my 1 year below me in high school, Janice Kimata. Today she's the fire chief at Paramount base. So if you're asking me if I think women can run the fire department, I'm gonna tell you yes, because my wife runs my house. Now, being taken the test 3 times, I'm gonna tell you guys, it's a tough test. You gotta carry a 100-pound bundle of hose up 3 flights of stairs. You gotta drag a 150-pound body over 50 yards. It's kind of a grueling test. I'm looking out here and I wanna tell you guys, I bet there's a few ladies that could pass the test. And there's a few men that could pass the test. But I'm not here to make a law that's gonna give a lady advantage over a guy if they cannot pass the test. You gotta pass the test. Written, physical, you get the job. Same like the police. Would I wanna see a female detective? Of course. Would I wanna see a female police chief? Of course. They pass the test, they get to have the job. I think when we let women feel that they are not as equal as men, we do them a disservice. I always promote in my classroom. I tell my girls in high school, and one of my former students, Mr. Trask, is there. Hello, Mr. Trask. I empower my girls in my class to take the world by their hands and go get their dream. Too late by the time they sit in a chair like you guys and ask us to help you. We gotta help them when they're little, to empower them to run the show. You 2 young ladies right there next to Mr. Trask, you guys run the show. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Rapozo, you've got something to say about this, I bet.
Well, you know, when I was in the department many years ago, we had 2 patrol officer females, we had a sergeant, we had a detective, we had a lieutenant. I worked at the county council for 14 years, vast majority of women. I work at the prosecutor's office now too. One of them is here tonight. A vast majority of women. You know, I don't know, I think, I'm not sure how you legislate women in jobs. I think, and I would hope that our HR department at the county is following the law when it comes to promotions and hirings and all of that. I've worked with women detectives. They're amazing. I always said women make better detectives than men. And I had a private investigative agency. I had a female detective working for me. She was, I think women are just naturally better detectives, investigators than men. I'm not sexist, I'm just saying that's my observation. But at the end of the day, you would hope that the department is giving everybody a fair shot. And you know, to be honest, I don't know many women that want to be a cop today or a firefighter. Like Mr. DeCosta, I failed the doggone fire test too. Not the physical part, I failed the written part. And unfortunately, I passed the police one. I would much rather be a fireman, but I also failed the post office test. I don't know what the heck. I passed the county council test though, so that was cool. My point is this, I've worked alongside women. I have absolutely no problem working next to a female officer, and I've seen Kathleen Higa was a firefighter at the fire department. Amazing fire person. So I would just, I guess as a council member, make sure that our departments are following the law and making sure that everyone has a fair shake.
Thank you very much. And finally, Ms. Secretario.
Again, what steps can the council take to increase the number of women serving and to ensure fair opportunities for career advancement? Honestly, we could start with your vote. We could have more females in leadership, in these leadership positions that I'm here tonight. Last night, KipuKai also said that over 286 people applied to become a firefighter. After the written exam, 47 passed. Only 47 passed. Then finally, after the agility, only 14 passed. And then all of these people being men. We need to have more engagement in our schools. more excursions to these departments. If these are statistics, we need to triple that number of those applying. We could also start the programs by the BSA that include female and male youth to do apprenticeships with the police and fire departments, and get really excited about working on the police force. Again, like Billy said, we need to start at a younger age, and we gotta get them excited about seeing the firefighters. I remember how awesome they are. I'd love to give a big shout out to my friends that do work for Erica. Thank you for being a police officer, and my friend Kiwi. Thank you for being the most amazing paramedic for our county.
Thank you. This final 2-minute question and response will also go to 3 candidates. Adults and Keiki enjoy our county parks and fields for a variety of reasons. The available restrooms, however, show obvious signs of age, overuse, and vandalism, and are not equipped with changing tables. These facilities often do not meet the specific needs of women and girls. Here's an example. The North Vidina fields here in Lihue only have access to porta potties and no trash cans. Recently, a mother shared that her teen daughter, who was playing soccer, had no place to dispose of her feminine hygiene products since there were no trash cans and no menstrual products are available for purchase. This is only one example of a persistent problem that disproportionately affects menstruating people in our community. The question is, what changes would you pursue to improve the conditions of the restrooms and increase the standard of hygiene and accessibility for everyone? Mr. Mukai.
Okay, I talked to one of my friends at the Baptiste Ballpark, and he said we should have like a marshal to take care of the Baptiste. It's a very busy ballpark, you know, so we should hire somebody to just take care of that park, maybe, you know, full-time. Create jobs. Kids are smoking marijuana over there, and they're all doing vandalism and graffiti and riding skateboards on the basketball court, and it's just not right. Somebody's got to enforce the law, and it's not going to be me. I'm not going to go there and enforce the law. I'm not some crazy parent that they're gonna dislike. You know, it's got to be somebody that they hire. You know, wear a uniform, carry a badge, and you know, don't have to carry a gun. You know, just be able to enforce the law. And we can also hire somebody to take care of all our restrooms around the island. You know, just like they do with the bus stops. You know, they have a couple people just go from bus stop to bus stop and just take care of that, you know, just, you know, that kind of things. We can create jobs, you know, we want to increase taxes, you want to make affordable housing, create jobs. You want to have a trash system in Keikaha, create jobs. You know, invent incinerator and, you know, distribute the garbage and create jobs. We got to create jobs.
Thank you. Mr. Saito, weigh in on the conditions of the restrooms.
Last time I was in the park at Lake Gate. That was atrocious. You can't get into the bathrooms. You don't want to go into the bathrooms. You'd rather wait until you got home because they're just not maintained. And when they do get maintained, it doesn't take but a very short period of time for someone to basically destroy it. There's got to be some way we can take care of this issue about the cleanliness, keeping it up, maintaining it, making sure we have the proper facilities for everyone at the park, make sure we have the trash cans and facilities that they need. It should have already been there. Parks and Rec needs to deal with that. If you're hearing issues about trash cans and stuff, report it to them. Stay on top of them. If you go to parks, call them, get them out there, let them know what's happening. I mean, isn't that their job? They're supposed to take care of our parks. Now when it comes to county, public safety is a big issue in parks. because of homeless, drug addicts, things like that. I'd hate to say it, but more patrolling may need to be until we get a control of that neighborhood and that park. We need to take our parks back so our Keiki have a place to play. And they quit playing with these phones they got stuck to their face. You know, I really like to see kids come out and be out. Because my biggest issue right now by kids not playing is, go to any neighborhood, you see any kids in the street? There are nowhere. And something's got to be done with that. My kids were never home. You know, and if they were out running around rollerblading and stuff, good chance I was out there with them. And that would made community, made family. And so there again, it's a family issue, but we need as a community to start taking our parks back and getting them back in control, nonprofits, whatever it takes to keep them clean and keep them safe.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Cowden.
Yes, it is a really critical issue that we see all the time, and it again is a reflection of the poverty and despair in our community. And I want to acknowledge that the parks departments, they're the ones who are usually holding the bag where there's difficulty. Where can people go to the bathroom? You know, you see all these private bathrooms are locked if you don't have a key or you're not spending the money. Even the park bathrooms get locked, so people have nowhere to go. We have a hard time hiring enough people to do it. It's a difficult job. They don't get paid enough. And this is all in the bargaining units. It's not like we can just set it aside to do it. So first of all, I want to just really thank the people who do work. And I have gone out there and helped clean up the bathrooms in the parks, and I just see how hard somebody's working. Attaching things to the wall, like we need to attach the garbage can to the wall, we need to attach, I'm totally happy to ask for a dispenser for feminine protection products, I'll do that. We can't even keep a sink on the wall in some of these bathrooms. People are discouraged, they have these substance abuse issues. Sometimes there's just so much damage that happens right after we clean up a bathroom. It's a systemic problem where we're going from not enough housing, not enough hope, not enough place to be, so the parks get the brunt of it. But I do also want to say, yes, they're all a little bit exhausted. It's about $750,000 to put in a new bathroom in a park, sometimes more. It's crazy expensive. I want to acknowledge I tend to choose to use the bathrooms in the park just to check on it. Very often I'm pleasantly surprised to see that it's clean. But it's hard to even hang on to the soap and the toilet paper because people don't have enough. They come in and they take it. So it takes just constant help, help, help. So this is part of our systemic problem. And again, it's the broader economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to congratulate all of you. When I was timing all these questions, I realized that if each of you took your whole time, none of us would have dinner. So as it is, I think we will make it by 6:30, and it gives me the pleasure to have another rapid fire question. Fortunately, not 3 words or less. And this is a question in 2 parts, 3 sentences or less. Do you consider yourself a feminist? Why or why not? And we're going to start with Ms. Holland and go straight down the road to Ms. Secretario.
I would say yes. I was raised by a single mom who was a preschool teacher, and I have spent my life trying to advance women's opportunities, and that's partially why I'm here on this stage today.
Thank you. Ms. Cowden.
I can be said to fit the definition of a feminist. I certainly am an independent, strong woman, have been since preschool. I don't like labels. I don't like to claim labels. That's got a negative connotation for some and a really positive connotation for others.
Thank you. Mr. DeCosta.
Do I need to say anymore? I'm Uncle Bill. I groom all my boys in my high school classroom to treat the girls with respect. If they have a girlfriend, I give them advice on how to treat them. I even told Mr. Bulosan to treat his girlfriend very kindly. Didn't I?
Thank you very much. Oh, this is a tough group. Mr. Mukai.
Yeah, I just want to say that we're all created equal. We have 2 hands, 2 feet, and 2 eyes, and You know, we're all built in God's image.
Thank you. Mr. Rapozo.
Yeah, you know, I go back to my police officer example. I think everyone is equal. I think we treat everyone the same.
Thank you. Mr. Saito.
Under the eyes of God, we are all equal. We are all human beings, and I do believe labels are not a thing we need to do.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Secretario.
Yes, let's break this glass ceiling together.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to be cracking the whip on you guys. It's my job. So finally, our candidates will wrap up this session with a 2-minute closing remark from each of you. And this time we'll start on this end and have the Secretario begin. 2 minutes.
Mahalo again to everyone for putting this forum together. Last night and tonight, it's a lot of work. Mahalo to my fellow candidates. You are all amazing individuals, and it has been an honor to be in the running with all of you. My vision for Kaua'i again is to engage our community to help others feel safe with more affordable housing, to educate and empower our youth so that they will want to be able to live here and take care of our island for generations to come. I want a Kaua'i where everyone is valued and all opinions heard. It is a scary and uncomfortable thing to be vulnerable and ask for help, but if we ask those hard questions and keep doing the work, we will have a positive outcome. We will have more affordable housing, curbside recycling, composting, more engagement within our schools, working firsthand with our farmers for a sustainable future. I am so excited and energized to give back to this community. Imua Kaua'i, let's move forward together. Mahalo nui loa, I'm Rachel Secretario, and I humbly ask for one of your 7 votes.
Thank you. Mr. Saito.
That's a hard thing to follow up. Of course, everybody knows me, Roy Saito. There again, like I said, lived here 40 years, raised kids here, seen people raise kids. It's an amazing place to live. If I go back to the mainland, I can stomach about 5 days, because I'm sorry, those people, they're crazy. After living here, learning how to live here, because I came from Texas, had to learn to live on the other side of the street. And it was a challenge because I started in Hilo. But it took me about a week to get turned over, and within 2 weeks, I could not go back to the mainland. People are so good here, so honest when you have the true souls that you deal with. My goal is to be able to help bring community back. I want to have our families and our children involved. I want to have the community that we all live in to be what it is, to preserve it. I've seen changes in large cities. It is not a good thing. We don't need to have that here. We need to take care of ourselves. So if we work as a community all together, we can keep this as what it is, Kaua'i. My biggest issue right now is accountability when it comes to government. I want to be able to hold them accountable for their actions. I want them to understand the consequences of their actions. And someone needs to speak up when things happen and when things are going the wrong direction. And that's what I want to pursue. I'm not working for me, I'm working for you. Okay? Thanks. I'm Roy Saito, running the council. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Rapozo.
Thank you. And again, thanks for having us tonight. You know, like I said earlier, the job of the council is to provide the checks and balances of our government. And you know, back in 2018, it was the community that I was hoping I'd get the soccer field question, but I didn't, so I came prepared. 2018, the community was very loud and upset about the conditions of the field. And you know, all my years on the council, I never put in items in the budget. It's very difficult to do. But in 2018, I put in $80,000 with the help of the other members of the council who supported it for the Kalena Park improvements. I also proposed and was able to get support for $725,000 for, and I have the budget here, the page 159. Vidina Stadium, soccer fields, ADA comfort station. This was a direct response to the complaints of the public. The administration chose not to build it. I bring that up because I think it's important that the public understand, as I said earlier, the separation of power. We're legislative, we can put things in the budget, but it's up to the administration to execute. In this case, they chose Kalela. They did that, but they didn't do the bathroom. The reason I bring that up is because I want to be that voice on the council again. As Roy just said, accountability is crucial. Making sure that your taxpayer dollars are being spent wisely and that the issues that we are faced with gets resolved is vital. But you gotta have council members that are not afraid to speak up and bring it to the forefront, no matter if someone's gonna get butthurt. That's just the reality. We have a lot of issues in this island that we gotta deal with, and it's gonna have to be dealt with aggressively, and I hope to bring that to the council. Mel Rapozo, appreciate you guys' time again. Thank you so much.
And thank you. Take it away, Mr. Mukai.
For me, I just want to thank everybody for being here and TV audience and on the radio. For me, it's all intelligently designed, the whole world. All I want, and this is my campaign promise, all I want is 4 years so I can crystallize my thoughts. After 4 years, in 2028, I'm going to run for president of the United States of America. We're going to be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for all, I mean the whole world, not only the United States of America. I'm not worried about Kaua'i. I'm worried about the world. I'm from the east side of Kaua'i. People think I'm only for the east side of Kaua'i. Why not people west side, south side, north side? I have a hard time getting their votes because they think I'm a coach at Kapa High School. They think I'm only for Kapa High School. I'm not only for Kapa High School. I'm for the people of Kaua'i right now for the next 4 years. I need your vote. And, I'm pleading for just one of your 7, not even one of your 7. If you're going to vote 2 or 3, just give me 1. I'm not asking for 1 of 7. I'm asking for 1. And, for me, I know it's all written in the Bible that I have that opportunity right now to lead the world. And I will lead the world. It's one day at a time, and I will lead the world. I promise you, I will. That's a campaign promise. I'm a political science major. My name is Nelson Mukai, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. To you, Mr. DeCosta.
Thank you all for coming. My name is Billy DeCosta. The kids call me Uncle Bill. I kind of have that persona. I could tell you all who I am, but let me tell you what I do. Maybe that's better. 2 nights ago, I was in Kikaha grinding hamburger from a cow that I donated for the Kaua'i Pop Art Association. Besides being a teacher, besides being a councilman, I go out there and do stuff behind closed doors to help our local community. I groom our high school kids. I look across this table and you guys heard a lot of important answers, but it takes 4 votes, sometimes 5 on a council. So if you don't get along, and if you don't know how to work together, you're not going to get nothing done. I'm not going to even look to my right, but I can tell you that Felicia Cowden is very fond of me and I'm very nice to her in the council. You can ask her, look in her eyes, she can tell you. I'm also really good friends with Fern. She's a very educated woman. And this is important, you guys, because you women are going to vote for these 2 girls, and I might be lucky enough to work with them. And if I can work with them, we'll get stuff done. If we can't, we won't get nothing done. Mr. Rapozo comes with a wealth of knowledge. Experience in troubled times is very important. As a councilman, I've worked as collaboratively this past 2-year term, got many things done, and I brought camaraderie to the council. You go back and watch all the meetings. From 3 decades ago till now, this is the best the council ever got along. Go look at it, and go ask yourself, what is the common denominator? I am Uncle Bill. I'm a local school teacher for 23 years. My student showed up tonight for some support. I'm humbled that you guys are here. You guys will be leaders of Kaua'i. I'm married 31 years. I raised 3 boys, and I raised my kids not to take handouts. I raised my boys to respect women and go get your dream. I am Uncle Bill. I ask you humbly for one of his 7 votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Cowden.
All right, thank you so much. I'm Felicia Cowden. I want to echo on what Mel Rapozo said about checks and balances and the role of council with the admin. That really can't be overstated, and For me, I have the time and experience, especially now after 2 terms, to really more broadly evaluate our fresh policy as a matter of practice. Whenever something's there, I call the people who are going to be hurt by a policy. Every time we have some new policy, it's going to hurt some, it's going to help others. I call the people who it's going to hurt. I go in and I look and I try and figure out how we might be able to make it better. And in this phase of my life, my kids are grown. I have no competing interests in my life that takes away from my ability to do this job. So I have the time to show up, the interest to listen to any and all sides of an issue, and the courage to ask the hard questions. I have the belief that if I don't deserve my job, that I don't deserve my job if I don't do my job. So you'll watch, and I'll even right now, in these last couple of weeks before the end of the election period, I'm still showing up for Fern at her her planning commission meeting on a difficult thing with like cocoa palms. I'm going to show up. And I think that that's what people know me for, and I look to build solutions rather than to build new things where you have to follow some procedure, have some new fine, need to get some new permit, pay a new tax. I want to create more freedom for us like we used to have. And so I'm Felicia Cowden. I appreciate your considering me for one of your 7 votes and FeliciaCowden.com. And thank you so much, every one of you, for being here and those who are listening. Thank you.
Ms. Holland. Thank you so much. And again, I reiterate all the gratitude and thanks for this event and opportunity to the YWCA and all the partners. I'm a very committed, hardworking individual. I will work very hard for Kaua'i and our community. Actually, whether I do or don't get elected, I'll continue to do that. So either way, I believe that in office, I'll have the capacity to have the resources that I need to take it to the next level and be able to really achieve the things that we'd like to see. I think that my science background is really beneficial, and my environmental background adds to a balanced council really and has a lot to add. I do intimately understand the issues that impact our lives. Growing up here on Kaua'i, I'll fight for our home, for our community, for our environment, for affordable housing, for drug solutions, for helping to make Kaua'i livable, for agricultural expansion and diversification of our economy, and for making our island home sustainable and flourishing and a place that we can be proud of. It would be a huge honor to serve this community in the form of on the county council, and a kuleana that I will take extremely seriously. And you can find out a lot more about my platform and the details about some of these things and other issues that we haven't talked about tonight on my website at votefern.com. You can reach out to me. I'm always an open door. I tend to, work very hard and committed to this community. So feel free to reach out to me. My number is 808-634-6242. And I'm an open door and I'm available for you. And I really humbly ask for one of those 7 votes when you cast your votes in the upcoming weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As all of you know, this particular forum has focused on the family and issues that revolve around it and places of need in our community. I want to give a big mahalo to our valiant candidates for answering these questions, even though I know that they wanted to answer some others. And with that, Fern Ānuenue Holland, Felicia Cowden, Billy DeCosta, Nelson Mukai, Mel Rapozo, Roy Saito, and Rachel Secretario. Give them a big hand. YWCA and all the sponsors who made these forums possible. Kamāwaelualani, Keiki to Career, Mokihana Club, Zonta Club of Hanalei, and Zonta Club of Kaua'i. To KKCR for broadcasting live tonight. To Rice Street Business Association for Kakua with Sound. And to Hoʻike and our videographer, Chalsie Quel. Applause. To all of you in the audience, both with us here and on the air, listening to it streaming live. You've been attentive, and it's a real pleasure to see you tonight. And I want to give you an applause as well, and you can join me. So the room will remain open for several more minutes, and if the candidates are able, I know that they would love to be able to chat with you personally, so stick around if you'd like, and enjoy the rest of our evening together. Thank you.
And a round of applause for Griffin.